Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Garret Schuelke podcast. I am Garret Schuelke, the guy this podcast is named after. And welcome to the 4th episode. I would first like to apologize to all my fans out there on the interwebs, because if you've read the description of this podcast, it states that it's a monthly podcast. Well, I fucked up. I fucked up big time, because it's been about 2 months since I've had a new one. So in case, 3 episodes in, you were just overwhelmed with the awesomeness of powerful GSP, well, there you go. You got a break. But it's all good. We're back. I'm back here in Kalamazoo at the Elmblad Media Group studios in the Park Trade Center. Today with my good friend here, very dear friend. His name's John Withee. And we're, as always, accompanied by the ever-loving Zach Elmblad.
Hi. Pleasure to be here, man.
Yep, indeed. It's a pleasure to have you on. And, well, let's start off the podcast. Congratulations, John, you have graduated from Western Michigan University.
I have, yeah. Master of Fine Arts in the poetic forms.
Yeah. How long did you attend Western?
For frickin' ever. It's been, my undergrad took 4 years, and then I took 3 years off working in mental health, and then I got back into grad school and did that for 3 years, and it was just a blast. I loved teaching freshman writing, especially. Should I just go ahead and talk about it?
Oh, yeah. So, okay. So now that you graduated, what are your plans? Because originally when I first started this podcast, I had a list growing of guests, and you were on there to begin with, like top five must-haves.
Top 5 guests.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I had a top 15, I could get that Chills guy on YouTube to do it.
Right.
Top 15 guests on the Garret Schuelke podcast. But then I saw a post that, or more so a Facebook event stating that you were moving from Kalamazoo after you graduated. And I was like, oh shit, I should get this before he moves away forever. But
at this point, that's false advertising, actually.
Fake news.
Yeah, that's totally fake news. Yeah, well, eventually I'm gonna get back to Maine and do my true love, best job I've ever had, clam digging. It's so awesome. You just go out during low tide, you have no boss, no hours, and you just pull money out of the mud.
Nice.
You're just out there with seals and bald eagles, and you travel in like a four-wheel drive truck, or a lot of people go out to the islands on boats and stuff. But yeah, I just for my own sake, all my friends are here and stuff, and so I'm gonna be sticking around this summer teaching K through 12 summer reading programs.
Yeah, how long have you had that job? Because I know you've been doing it while you've been attending Western too.
Oh, no, this one's new.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. At Western, I was teaching freshman writing, so college writing. So this one's going to be kind of a new challenge, I think. Summer reading programs, but the company I'm going to work for has all their curriculum lined up. I could have written this curriculum, so it's really awesome. I'm going to be teaching Where the Wild Things Are, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Fellowship of the Ring.
Well, yeah, you mentioned that you're getting paid right now to read through that.
Yeah, right? Doesn't get any better than that. So, yeah. So I'm doing that this summer. Another thing that, I don't want to jump the gun or anything, but I'm going to be working on a new art project that's going to take quite a few years. I don't know if you remember, I did construction paper tarot.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, I'm friends with you on Facebook, so I see everything you do.
Right.
Or at least everything you put on there.
Yeah.
So, yes, I do know making tarot cards and paintings, I believe, too.
Sometimes. Yeah, I spent like 2 years making these tarot cards out of construction paper, and it was a successful Kickstarter project, just a lot of fun. I got to ship them off to like Australia and France, and really a fantastic niche market there.
Oh, nice. A lot of it involves Adventure Time, I believe.
Oh, yeah. I did do a lot of Adventure Time spray paint stencils, multiple color stencils. Yeah, that was pretty cool. This new project, though, I'm gonna try my hand at mosaics.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I've been like in my garage smashing up tile with hammers, and you really at the beginning. I haven't gotten my artistic process down or anything, but I've been busy, and now the summer's coming. So.
So you anticipate it to be like a years-long project?
Probably more than that, I would say. Actually.
More than years.
Yeah.
Mosaic is no joke.
Right.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a plan in place, or is it still pretty spontaneous right now?
So I'm gonna try to do another 78 tarot card thing with that, which is gonna be really intense. And what's cool about it is that I think the originals are gonna be able to be shipped around for people to own. Right now I have all the originals of the construction paper myself. I don't sell those because it's just too precious of an object, for me. Spent so long making it. Yeah, but with this one I hope to disseminate, I guess, a little bit more into the world.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
All right, so you're continuing your art, and you're continuing your teaching, plans for the future.
Totally.
Well, we're in the present, and we're talking about the future. How about we take a trip back into the past? Let's hit the Wayback Machine.
Let's do it.
Let's steal. I do my best. Let's steal that TARDIS. Let's do a Bill and Ted impression.
You talking about this book that I just found?
No, we're going way back.
Way back.
Let's talk about how you and I met.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you and I met at the Strut in 2010, and it was like a poetry reading, a poetry open mic.
Really?
Yeah. Is that how we met?
Wow, my brain is fried on that one. You're probably right. Yeah, I did some musical open mics there too. The Strut, dude, man, those were the glory days.
Oh yeah,
I got to play on that stage a couple times too. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I absolutely love the Strut. It was just right there where I moved to Kalamazoo in 2009, fall 2009, to attend my first semester at Western. I think it was like either my first or my second show in Kalamazoo. Maybe it's my third, because besides seeing a show there, I went to a house show where Toro and the National Guard were performing. They were one of my first favorite groups around here. And that got shut down by the cops, which was hilarious. And it was also the first and only time that I ever went to one of the frats around here, where I saw then Kalamazoo-based rapper and producer Matt Black perform.
Oh wow!
I believe he's in Detroit now. But yeah, I believe you and I met at the Strut, and it was a poetry reading because I was still very much into writing poetry at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been magic ever since.
Yeah.
There you go. The end.
No kidding. Yeah, there used to be a lot more poetry readings. For a while there, I was hosting a monthly one at Old Dog, where I still work after 8 years.
Yeah,
Shout out.
You're still. I don't know. What's your title there? Bouncer, technically.
Door guy. I don't know. Just the Withee, maybe. I'm just kind of there. No, I take the cover on Saturday nights. That's how a lot of people actually have gotten to know me. As a somewhat. I don't know if I want to call myself a public figure around here.
You are
prominent Kalamazooan.
Yeah,
I would say you are. I mean,
okay.
I mean, sure.
Letters.
Well, besides that, I mean, you were very well known when I first met you. You know, everyone greeted you very warmly, and there's even I believe the page is still up. There's like there's 2 pages. There's e-shrine to John Withee on Facebook. I think someone set that up.
That was, I had gone off Facebook. I had done one of those stupid Facebook hiatuses, and I think at the time I was writing a lot of controversial political stuff on Facebook, and so one of my friends set up the e-shrine to the John Withee.
Yeah, and even before that, like when you had your older profile, is that, God, I think it was called like John Withee marches on the state capitol to lower the drinking age.
Oh man, yeah, I never marched on the state capitol. Yeah, very optimistic back then. Everybody was just so alive and just learning about the world around us. Just I don't know if you remember that. I was a very different person back then, and way back then I was actually struggling a lot with what I thought about religion, what I thought about politics, and I'm eternally grateful to my friends for putting up with me for so many years through that. I think the world's different than that now. I think there's less, what would you call it? There's less sympathy, I guess, for people that...
less empathy.
Yeah, for people that think differently. But I don't know, maybe people are more hardened these days anyways. But I know that without a lot of patience that my friends had for me, I would never have become the person that I was today. Hanging out with Minnow, one of my good buddies, down in Fourth Coast, just all-nighters studying for exams. And
yeah, I had the pleasure of being around Fourth Coast, like, in the days right up to the smoking ban.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I didn't smoke, but I did hang around there because all you guys hung around there. And indeed, a lot of fun times there. Even by myself, if I was just writing or reading in that. I mean, I would come back, everything, my clothing and my backpack and everything would absolutely reek when I come out there.
Of course it would.
But they had a good enough ventilation system that smoke didn't bother me.
Yeah.
But then after they got the ban,
oh yeah, yeah. I think a lot less people started hanging out.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. Well, it got quieter and strange. Like, I think the smoke caused some sort of like a buffer where people would like be able to talk really loud. It just
I miss the fog of going out to a bar with a cloud of smoke and going to Fourth Coast and staying up late at night. I swear it renders ethereal memories. It makes it a special place because it's visually disrupted when you go in there. And now it's like any other coffee shop.
Yeah.
You know, but it had this kind of special grit from that cigarette smoke. You know, I mean, I don't smoke anymore.
Wait, you don't?
No, I haven't for a couple of months.
Oh wait, you do.
I got this
you do vape though.
Thing. Yeah, oh yeah. Nicotine is still my friend, just not in combustible form.
Yeah,
we'll have to talk about that after the podcast because I got to
And-
switch over pretty soon.
Yeah.
Enjoy that popcorn lung.
Yeah, well, I enjoy not smelling like cigarette smoke when I'm around clients. Is the big thing.
That's a good point.
The real beauty of that place though was 24/7 for sure.
R.I.P. 24/7.
Wait, I was wondering. I did hear that. Did they stop doing 24/7 there?
What is it? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They're no longer open 24 hours, I think.
No shit.
Yeah, they're open all night over the weekend, but and there's like a little note on the cash register thing or on the actual espresso machine, like thanks for 20 some odd years of 24/7.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a podcast, so you can't see my face. But I was given the
this
most.
Is a table of old people.
Yeah, I was giving.
Just grew up.
I was giving one of my great absolutely shocked what the fuck faces, because that is very sad. Because even though I live in Grand Rapids now, whenever I come to Kalamazoo, I won't be able to today, but I always do try to stop in at Fourth Coast for at least an hour or so, mainly to write and try to get some energy there. I still think it's a good place, but that's very disappointing hearing that. Oh man.
Still, yeah, just so many memories there. I started going there pretty regularly the summer after high school. What happened was I had I was supposed to work at this Christian kids camp.
Well, very quickly.
Yeah.
I want to go even backer than...
Really?
Even backer.
Even further back?
Yeah, than when you and I met.
Okay.
John, were you born here?
Oh, yeah, born and raised, Kalamazoo native. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. We went back enough. Okay, so you were in high school. Which one did you attend?
I went to Kalamazoo Christian High School, and that summer I was supposed to... I had a job lined up. I had been working in the public library, and I took the summer off, and then I got this other job. And then I got my first MIP. And that, kind of put the kibosh on, being a counselor at a Christian kids camp all summer. And I just, a couple thou in savings, and, I was young, and that summer I started just sneaking out of my parents' house in the middle of the night with a couple of my friends, Jordan and Kristen, and we'd go hang out at Fourth Coast for a couple hours and drink coffee. And the crazy part was we weren't even getting into trouble. We weren't smoking pot. We weren't drinking alcohol. We weren't doing anything. We were just drinking coffee in the middle of the night, the neon light in that corner booth.
Yeah, man.
In the middle of the night.
Corner booth.
I wrote 3 books in that.
Yeah. Wow.
Absolutely. I spent a lot of time there. Same story for me though. It was a little escape in high school. I was in bands back in high school, and we would play shows late night, and then we'd all go to Fourth Coast, and that'd be like our little after party. We'd get strange mixtures of Italian sodas, try to pick the most disgusting flavors to combine, it's childish stuff, but yeah, it was kind of an escape from my home life. So I grew up going to Fourth Coast, for years and years.
Shit, I wrote a poem about that booth, simply called Corner Booth.
Yeah, dude, it's the best booth in Kalamazoo.
Yeah, I don't remember the whole poem, but basically the synopsis of it is that I imagine that I'm a homeless dude, and I'm at Fourth Coast, sleeping in the corner booth because I got nowhere else to go, dreaming of trains, dreaming of women, all this great stuff. And this is true. They probably painted over at the time, but there's an outlet obviously right there at the corner booth. Yeah. Someone wrote on there plus fork. So I added that in there. I ended the poem with, "This place has the solution to all my problems." Okay, so all right, so you got the MIP. And I was I don't know. That summer was just such an awakening for me. There was it wasn't shortly after that I think I moved out, and I of course I met this old guy at Fourth Coast who gave me a place to stay. Everybody in Fourth Coast, man, I met so many friends there, and it was just a place where people would just be like, if someone was lonely, come sit with us. Let's hang out. Let's get to know a new person. I don't know any places where that happens anymore.
I remember when I first started traveling outside of town, my buddy and I did a couple of road trips out west back, our early 20s. And I remember looking for a place like Fourth Coast. I'm like, well, every town's got to have something like this, we'd be driving around trying to, this pre-internet and all that stuff, or pre-phone internet, and there is no other Fourth Coast cafe. You don't run into a 24-hour coffee shop with smoking in it, and late night food. It's not as, at least at the time it wasn't common. It's probably a bit more common now, I would imagine, but I never realized how unique that place was until I really left Kalamazoo, and I was like, dude, you mean there's not a Fourth Coast everywhere? I need that.
No. When I moved to Grand Rapids in 2013, I was trying to still keep up with I was trying to basically replicate in a way some of the good parts of living in Kalamazoo. One of them was Fourth Coast, so I did indeed look for a 24-hour cafe. And there is one in Grand Rapids, but it's way farther away somewhere on the west side. I forget what it's called, but I could never make it since due to how long it would take me to get there, and just the fact too that I'm still doing to this day, working my warehouse job, which leaves me utterly exhausted. So I can't enjoy being this great bohemian writer staying up all hours of the night in the cafe.
Right.
Like I did back when I was a carefree student at WMU, where all I had to worry about was my grades.
Yeah. Man, I hate growing up.
Oh, God.
It's not all bad.
Yeah.
It's not all bad.
Yeah. It has its ups and downs, pros and cons.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Okay, I'm trying to... we got a very good conversation there. I'm trying to figure out how we should continue this.
You know what? I just found this book. Okay, I have to tell your listeners.
Okay. Before this show started, we were obviously hanging out and talking a little bit, and up on the wall here at Elmblad Media Group, Zach has a book that he put out called Kalamazoo Graffiti, and John, to say the least, geek the fuck out. And yeah, we should get in on this because a good portion of this book contains work that you've done here in Kalamazoo as a graffiti artist.
Yeah, I was blown away.
Yeah.
By the way, it's totally fine for me to talk about this because I got busted twice, and I had to confess to everything. So I don't do it anymore, Mom.
Mrs. John Withee's mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. When did you start beginning taking part in graffiti art?
That is a good question, man. Well, according to this book, somewhere between 2008 and 2012. No, this is so cool. It's got all these tags that I did, which a lot of other people did too.
Yeah. What type of graffiti did you like to do? Like anything particularly political or cartoonish?
Yeah. I like to press people's buttons sometimes. A lot of times my my graffiti was very forthright in its politics, I would say. And that was on purpose because I didn't want to be... It's kind of like how we say anarchy and not freedom, because we got to be specific. I mean, George W. Bush can talk about freedom.
Well, yeah.
He's talking about a completely different thing.
Well, yeah, same thing with free speech.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the whole thing these days. But other things like, I can't believe, there's this 40-foot long tag I did on the back of a building over in Stadium Drive.
Life is Beautiful, correct?
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah.
I actually do remember that when I was biking around, and indeed I did come to that one. And I think you were working at that Stadium Cleaners at the time.
Yeah, the laundromat.
Yeah, I think I was biking and I saw...
That place is the best.
I know, I love it.
There's another place that
There's another 24-hour place. I loved it too, but...
you could smoke cigarettes in there,
Yes.
and it was a laundromat.
Yeah,
What is the point of smoking in a laundromat?
Pinball, dude.
Yeah.
It was great.
Oh, Pac-Man! I put so many quarters in that machine.
But yeah, I think the same day I encountered that, I decided to come up and visit you there, and we talked about outlaw country, I think, at that time.
Huh, yeah.
Yeah, you see, I have a very good memory for shit that, while they're technically good memories, they really don't help me out in the long run in my life.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah, I used to work there. It was it was all night, 4 nights a week, just night shifts. And so 7 a.m., I'd get out, and I didn't actually have a car at the time, and there was a trail back there that led to my place. And so at 7 in the morning, I'd get off work, I'd take my backpack just full of cans and probably a couple beers, and I'd just spend a couple hours in the morning, spraying away. And I must have spent like $50 of spray paint on this piece.
It's actually very beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, well, I do a lot of links in the descriptions of these podcasts, so I'll link all this stuff in there. So
Sure thing, man.
So yeah, folks, pick up Kalamazoo Graffiti. support John Withee's work, support Zach Elmblad. It's legit. I'm not just kissing ass here.
Right.
No, it's actually a really good, legit book.
And to comment on that a little bit, I've had a lot of people come through here on Art Hop, which is once for the listeners. Art Hop is a once a month thing that happens in downtown Kalamazoo, where artists open up their studios or display work in various venues around downtown. And I open up for Art Hop every month, and I've probably sold 3 or 4 of those books.
Huh.
But the people that have purchased them really enjoy them, and that's probably my most thumbed through book in the room for sure. Like people pick up mine and Garrett's and look at the covers and stuff, but that's the one that really gets people looking at it.
Wow, dude, that just makes me feel so good that people are experiencing joy from this type of street art. Yeah. It was so much fun. Just I could talk about street art for a while. I mean, it's such a interesting. I have so much respect for it just because people are usually poor that are doing it. And, they can't buy a billboard or something. And even if they did, it's still kind of, the message would be, it sucks because you pay for it. You shouldn't have to pay for speech.
Yeah, you got any particular graffiti artists, famous or otherwise, that you like?
Oh, Bonus Saves around here really has spearheaded. Yeah. Okay. Bonus Saves rules.
Yes, that's the truth right there.
Okay, I'm completely in the dark right here. Who is this artist?
Seriously? The skull bunnies. They're called bonuses.
Oh, now I recognize those. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Now I recognize them.
Yeah, Bonus Saves did that too. Just really incredible artwork of animals. Did a whole series on during the Kalamazoo oil spill on animals and covered in oil and that kind of stuff. And
they still active?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. All over the place.
Yep, definitely. And he's getting mural work and stuff too. There's a couple murals in the Vine neighborhood.
Oh really? Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah, that's how you start. Bonus Saves did a whole piece on the back of course. Fourth Coast. Yeah.
And on the wall beanery. Of the adjacent building, building as well.
Yeah. Now I know what you're talking about, yeah.
That wall, they eventually just had to get a professional to do it because nobody was going to leave it alone. They painted over it every week, and we just, we'd always come back and just put someone else back up because we were like, no, we have to make this place beautiful.
Yeah, this building needs to have art on the wall.
Yeah.
Not just a flat color.
All right. Let's get into the big part. At least the one that I really remember about your career as a graffiti artist when you graffiti East Hall.
Oh yeah. That one's kind of interesting. I've never actually been busted for something that I've been 100% proud of. So with that one, I can talk about that one. Anyways, I had gotten in the habit of, I put "The Truth Will Set You Free" down there on the pavement. And keep in mind, this was at the point where East Hall had been abandoned for 30 years. It was filled with asbestos. The whole place was just covered in art and graffiti all the time. Oh, yes. And so anyways, I think one of the things I wrote, actually, on one of those pillars was tuition keeps rising because you keep painting these damn pillars. And a cop actually walked up 30 seconds after I'd done it to take pictures of stuff to try to find the people. And he just started laughing. He was like, "Did you guys just do this?" And we were like, no. But, so they would power wash it off, "The Truth Will Set You Free." And it got to the point that the power washing of it off just showed the words there. I didn't even have to do it anymore. It was just there. That was...
the power washing, engraved it in there somehow?
Yeah, totally. It was almost like reverse graffiti. But cleaning. And, so anyways, they put my picture up in the paper. They were looking for me.
It's a very nice security camera picture. It shows you, obviously you have your hoodie up. You got a very nice stride going on there. Very confident.
I love that picture so much. And
you eventually used that picture for the cover of your first Trip to Herald album.
Yeah. What I love about Kalamazoo is that it took them over 2 months to catch up with me. Everybody knew. Like, everybody. My phone was ringing off the hook. Check M Live, dude. All this kind of stuff. And it even got to the point where, you guys remember Mark Laramie at all?
That sounds familiar.
Barista, Fourth Coast, but he was like...
Yeah, totally.
He was working sound at the Strut one night. He lived next door to me. Yeah, he was working sound, and I roll in the Strut like a week or two after this happened. And he's on the microphone, and as soon as I walk in, he yells, and he wore 11.5 size shoes, ladies and gentlemen, which was right from the article. And I was like, shut up. What are you doing, man?
Wait.
I'm still on the lam.
Yeah. Wait, they knew your shoe size?
No, well, I wear 9.5s, actually. So they did terrible forensic work. Footprints in the snow.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, but it's still a mystery how I got busted, but I think it was one of my journalism professors, and this is why. This is my evidence.
I originally went to Western for journalism. I switched over to a general education degree, Bachelor in Arts. So we won't name the person you're suspecting.
But
there's probably a good chance I know which one you're referring to.
Well, here's what happened. I roll into class, and it's one of those classes where everybody has to log in to GoWMU first thing, and there's like a sidebar on everybody's computer, the top 3 news stories. And so there I am sitting in class, and my picture is on everybody's screens. And not only that, but I have a tattoo that says "The truth will set you free" in my forearm. And in addition to that, I had outed myself to the entire class as an anarchist. Like, we did this thing where, like, we had to interview each other and then, present, and I was like, yeah, I'm an anarchist. And there's an anarchy symbol in the graffiti that they were trying to bust me for. So I was sitting there like, dude, the cops are just going to bust down the door any moment now. It was scary. It was so scary. I thought... but anyways, I ended up, plea bargain or something. I just had to, like, confess to everything. A lot of the cops are not happy about that kind of stuff. It really pissed them off sometimes. And, like, they're doing their job. They're doing what they have to. And, with that particular one, I think I'd kind of gone over the line with that one, I think, because I was going right on the building, on the doors, places, and it was huge. It was a very large, in your face kind of thing. Like, none of that would have happened if I had just put it on the sidewalk again or scribbled something on the pillars. And it's so there's some stuff that I wish I had done differently around that time, but it is what it is, and it's one of the things that, like, made me who I am today. Sure. Well, and you live and you learn. So
well, at least from my perspective, it did kind of lead though into another thing that you were very heavily into, which was preserving East Hall at WMU.
Yeah, that's what's really interesting is that at the same time that all this graffiti stuff was going on, there were so many people trying to tear the whole place down, and this is a historic building, and there were groups trying to fight to preserve it, and it turned out that the administration itself was a much bigger enemy than the kids running around with markers and stuff, a much bigger threat. Which is, it adds another layer to it that I find really interesting to the story, just because, I mean, it's it really is a beautiful place, and it's now been turned into the Alumni Center, which I'm now an alumni.
Yeah, I remember that. I do remember that big battle. What did they say? I think they said they wanted to turn to, like, a parking lot or something at first, so you could like party during football games on it.
Oh, it's probably something like that. Something miserable. You know? Yeah. It really is a beautiful building. I mean, like, my relatives, went there in the 70s and 80s, and it's a beautiful building. There was one that showed up that was really cool during all this renovation, which I'm sure you guys remember this story. And it wasn't me, okay? It really wasn't. A lot of people think it was me, which I'm okay with because why not? But it's the I Miss the Trees one.
Oh yeah, I do remember that too.
Yeah, it was just beautiful. Somebody snuck up there and in stylized letters right on this big wall wrote I Miss the Trees. And they just chopped down all these beautiful trees.
Yeah, for the listeners here who aren't familiar with Kalamazoo, East Hall, I guess you could say East Hall overlooks the Vine neighborhood.
It's the benevolent overlord of the Vine neighborhood.
Yeah, and
it's the Acropolis of the
I know, it's actually, I guess, even with the trees gone, it's still a pretty spectacular sight, especially at night. And beforehand, and before all this renovation, you could see East Hall, and then down the hill were just all these lines of trees there, which is followed by this football field. I don't know no, not a football field. It's just an empty field where anyone can play whatever there.
Sure, intramural.
Yep, and then that promptly led into the Vine neighborhood, which is nicknamed the Student Ghetto, which the Vine Neighborhood Association hates, so we won't call it that. But that was one of the things, that they cut down a good portion of the trees there. So yeah, you can still see East Hall perfectly, but it's not as majestic as it used to look.
Right. Yeah, it's truly incredible, like how much of the city, head honchos really decide our architecture, and there were so many people with so many millions of dollars running around building new buildings and all this kind of stuff, just shaping our wonderful, beautiful city. And a lot of the people who live in the city don't have a voice or don't have a say in that, and that's where a lot of graffiti art comes from, I think. And you're not going to get rid of it. I love talking about graffiti in my freshman classes. Yeah. I would bring up a lot of articles and a lot of current events, like what was one recently? Mary Balkema, the Kalamazoo County Treasurer, who's a Trump supporter. She helped put up a billboard that said "Make Kalamazoo Great Again" with that.
Are you serious?
With that bastard, with 2 thumbs up or whatever.
Wait. Who's doing the thumbs up?
Oh, Trump. Yeah, a picture of Trump. Make Kalamazoo great again.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was on Stadium Drive for a while, but then a graffiti artist came by and he crossed that out and said, change the letters to make it say "Make Kalamazoo Hate Again," and then crossed out his face. And
wait, now I remember this one too.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, and I laughed so hard going down Stadium.
And then there was an arrow pointing to his hands, and it just said "tiny," just to really stick it to him. And one of the things that Mary Balkema said on her Facebook page when she was talking about it, she said, "Whatever happened to free speech?" And I'm like, dude, this is free speech.
Wait a second.
This is obviously it's happening all around you.
Would you repeat that to yourself slowly, please?
Right. As a former graffiti artist who got pretty well known for a short time here and was promptly arrested, let me tell you about free speech.
Yeah, right.
Well,
yeah, man. So it really, I think like it helps to show us that there's a lot more to the people around us than meets the eye. A lot of what we know about ancient Rome comes from their graffiti.
Yep.
It's because who cares what Julius Caesar or Trump was doing? I want to know what Garret Schuelke is doing. So yeah.
So is there still any efforts going on with East Hall?
It's it's way different now. They cleaned it up. Some of the buildings that they took down, they left only the like 3 walls to some of those buildings just to make it look like there's a building there, and there isn't really anymore. There's a bunch of bricks down there that like right where the sidewalk used to be, where like people have like paid money to have like, congratulations Joe and Tim or whatever, 1998 class of whatever. And man, if I had a couple $100 lying around, I would love to get a brick that says the truth will set you free.
Oh,
Yeah. Wouldn't that be dope?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We can arrange this somehow.
Yeah.
I know we can. Start up a GoFundMe for
Find
it.
a way. Yeah.
But really, only $100?
Oh, I don't know how much it is. It might not be going on anymore. They might have filled it all.
Yeah,
but
I was about to say, I'll give
see.
you $100 for that.
Right. Yeah,
Anyway.
it's still a beautiful place to watch the sunrise.
Yeah, and I guess to end on the graffiti part here, I do remember that I think you wrote an article that appeared on MLive about defending graffiti.
Yeah, I show that to my students when we're doing our section on graffiti in our freshman writing class. And it's during our persuasive essay section, so I bring in persuasive essays on feminism, all that kind of stuff. And what I was writing that in response to what happened was there were 3 kids that got busted just in one night. They just flew through downtown and Western, hit like 70, 80 buildings. I mean, it was crazy in one night.
Whoa.
So they were people were looking for them.
That's beast mode right there.
Right. Yeah, so you can't get away with that, obviously. But yeah, it was everywhere.
You can try.
Yeah, and so, the comments on MLive, just if you don't want your day ruined, don't go to the comments on MLive. Just ever. It's horrible.
Yeah, I did read that response, and of course I liked it.
Yeah, just
no one else apparently did on MLive.
Yeah, no. People were saying, let's break their thumbs, let's put them on stocks in the Kalamazoo Mall to be spanked. Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah,
let's send them to Afghanistan to be shot and killed. These were all our local residents voicing their opinions about these kids. And so I wrote this nice article about, why don't we, learn from some of this? I invoked Barack Obama sent a letter to Shepard Fairey saying, your art has a profound effect on people, whether it's on a stop sign or in a gallery. This is something that's actually art, that's respectable. And
of course, evil communist Obama would support graffiti.
Of course he would.
Yeah, but I mean, Shepard Fairey was like...
Oh, he made the Obama poster.
Exactly, yeah, he was integral to the early branding of that.
Yeah, the grassroots stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when I show this article to my students, I always take my name off of it, and in order to be humble, of course, I tell them your assignment is to find 3 logical fallacies in this argument. So I read through the responses, and it's just a blast to I just crack up to myself like, oh yeah, they're right.
Dude,
You got me, kid.
have you ever gotten a student that was like the MLive commenters?
You
know what they should do.
No, I've had a lot of my students. They're freshmen. They're coming in. They're 18. Coming in from Hicktown, Michigan, not really knowing anything.
Hey, I'm from Hicktown, Michigan, aka Alpena, Michigan. Yeah. I take absolutely no offense to that, sir, because that's very accurate.
Right, but they're all just wide-eyed and interested in so many different things, and so it's fun to have shown them anti-capitalist essays, and some of their responses are like, this is freaking stupid, and that's fine, whatever, at least they're reading other things. But some people say wow, I've never heard of anything like this. I've never imagined a society without money. It's always just been completely ingrained in my brain that this is the way the world does work. That's how it's always worked. That's how it always will.
No names, but to your knowledge, have you ever directly inspired anyone to become a graffiti artist?
Boy.
They would come up to you after class.
What? No,
Professor Withee.
Nothing like that. Nothing like that. Like I said, no, that's not what I use my teaching platform for.
Oh, okay.
I want to make that absolutely clear. I'm not trying to, tell kids to be gay and do crimes. Not. I'm just, in my persuasive articles that I give them, I tell them, you gotta look at things differently, and you gotta have respect for people that go out of their way to speak into their minds. Yeah. I don't know. I wanted to make that clear because that's not what you're supposed to do as a teacher, you know?
Yeah. And, well, let's get into another great chapter there. I don't know if this directly came out of this, but, well, hell, I don't even know if you even go under this name anymore, but you have folk punk.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. You're good. Yeah.
Yeah, you have a folk punk project called Trip to Herald.
Yeah, man. Oh, it's the only music thing that I've ever done. It's pretty juvenile. It's incredibly juvenile. Oh man.
Well, first of all, where did the name come from? Because I could never figure out like the reference or anything. Or there was one.
Yeah, that one. The name is very mysterious. But one day I was driving and I ran into this. I pulled over for this guy who was driving a car. It looked like it was like from the 30s or something. It was just this old guy, and I helped him get his car going again because he had some spare parts. And I never saw that guy again, but for some reason it stuck with me. And later on, I got to wondering if he had even been real, I guess. And I really started thinking about that. So Trip to Herald, and that's spelled Herald as in Hark the Herald Angels Sing. I was still a spiritual person back then, even though I was getting into a lot more of the bohemian lifestyle and mentality. And so actually one of those songs that I put on there was Jesus is a Bamf.
Yep.
And
well, I guess I would consider the two big hits was Jesus was a Bamf and Graffiti Artist.
Yeah. It was kind of in response to I was an angry young kid. Those songs were just so hyper masculine. They were confusing. If you listen to some of the lesser known tracks, you have no idea what this kid is talking about. It's bizarre.
Well, one of my favorite tracks is okay, I'm gonna fuck up the title, but it's like arson isn't my job.
It's just a hobby.
It's just a hobby. That's my favorite one.
Oh man, so clever.
It was like, and I'm burning down your buildings and watching secretly from a distance, so far away.
Dude, I played that song at an open mic at the Strut after like 4 Long Islands, and the whole crowd was just going, from so far away, so far away. You know,
That's awesome.
That was a night to remember. That was fun. Yeah.
That's one of the things about a folk punk genre is that, yeah, I guess it would depend on the artist too, but a lot of them are very singable. That's not a word, but kind of get where I'm going here. There's a lot of anthems.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely got it there with that. Jesus is a Bamf. Graffiti Artist. What is it? I don't want to be a graffiti artist.
Yeah.
I just want to get high and fuck. It was my terrible John Withee impression.
Oh no. Yeah.
My terrible impression. I apologize.
Oh, just incredible. Yeah, that you can really tell where my mentality was back then.
We are reflections of what we put out in the world.
I was just so young and angry back then, you know? Like, I mean, I hesitate to call it art. I really do. It's, but I love it because I made it. You know, there's so many things in my past that I keep and treasure.
And you always got to remember, too, that there's another 20-year-old kid out there that just is feeling exactly the same way.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, of course, you know who it honestly reminds me of, and we're both big fans of this man. His name's Pat the Bunny, or his stage name is. Or my favorite project of his is Johnny Hobo. Remind me very much of that.
Yeah.
Piano and better singing and no stupid fucking drum machine.
Yeah, Johnny Hobo. You can tell what mood somebody's in by whether they're listening to Pat the Bunny or Johnny Hobo. That guy's story is really interesting. he became a famous folk singer, went to rehab halfway through that, then started a bunch of sober projects, which were really inspiring. That guy really shaped me.
And then, at the end, declared he no longer considered himself an anarchist and retired.
Right.
Which is very sad.
I don't blame him.
Oh, no, not at all.
Like, he just wants to hang out with his buddies playing D&D now or whatever. That's fine. What else can you expect from Johnny Hobo? He's always going to screw you over. He's always going to zig when you zag. That's just, you know what I mean?
Well, I know he had other projects, but his big three main ones were Johnny Hobo, Wingnut Dishwashers Union, and crap. How can I forget it? What's his third one?
Pat the Bunny?
Yeah. His last one before he retired.
Oh, man.
They did Your Heart is a Muscle.
Yeah, Ramshackle Glory.
Yeah, Ramshackle Glory.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I think of it. I know he had some other smaller stuff.
Yeah.
Out of all of them, I still like Johnny Hobo the best.
Yeah.
I will say it's definitely the worst recorded out of all of them, especially compared to Ramshackle Glory, but I think it had, like, the best lyrical content. Like, if I had to do, like, a list of my favorite songwriters, lyricists, Pat the Bunny as Johnny Hobo would be in there, because I definitely think he had that.
Yeah.
Really good. But,
this is kind of ironic, but the more down in the dumps I am, or the more grungy lifestyle I happen to find myself in, the more I find myself listening to Ramshackle Glory and that kind of stuff. But the more I'm working at like a 9-to-5, and the more I'm developing sort of like a white picket fence lifestyle, the more I find myself listening to Johnny Hobo. That old school, just like F the man, you know what I mean? Like, just screw everything and everybody. And it's kind of weird that that's how it works. I feel like it's a balance, maybe.
Well, yeah. And like I say, kind of like a lot of good folk punk, a lot of it is very, very memorable. A lot of it you can sing to. Like, what was one of them? Here's to the rubble, a brick through every window.
Oh, yeah.
Something, 6 feet deep for everybody's heroes.
Yeah.
Here's to our lives being meaningless.
Because freedom doesn't have a purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, man.
But yeah.
Such great anthems.
But yeah, that's my personal favorite project. Fizz, I think he just had the best, most memorable, most clever lyrics.
Oh. I went out a couple of weeks ago to Ann Arbor to go see Andrew Jackson Jihad.
Oh, really? Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw him in Grand Rapids last year. How were they?
Oh, it was amazing. I got to like mosh my way up to the front. And
Very
stuff.
nice.
But they,
Except for they're not calling themselves that anymore. It's
no,
just
it's AJJA. Yeah, everybody's being PC these days. But what's cool about them is that they, for their set list, they just had everybody write down their favorite song, and then they just played off of that.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Well, let me guess. The majority of it was probably from the People Eat People album.
I can't quite remember. They've made so many albums. I just was, a kid in a candy shop. I bought like 2 CDs and probably a poster or 2. Yeah, those guys really shaped my lifestyle, I think. He's a poet. He's an absolute poet.
Oh yeah, that's actually the type of folk punk that I prefer, along with like Johnny Hobo and Riley Coyote. It's basically these guys who are, nihilistic. They're very satirical humorists, or like Riley Coyote, they're literally homeless traveling kids. Now that's my personal favorite type of folk punk.
Yeah, that are like just, I don't know, immersed in the lifestyle.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know some people who hate that type, and I don't blame them.
I've never. When the trains go by Old Dog, sometimes I like to jump on and ride them for just.
Oh, nice.
Just across the street in front of all the cars. That's kind of fun.
For nostalgia state.
Well, I never really hopped a train to go anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a poser.
Well, so was Johnny Hobo.
Yeah,
I think
right.
I think that was the one joke I heard here in Kalamazoo was like, if you hopped at least one train, you've hopped more trains than Johnny Hobo.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's still a dream of mine to hop a train at least once.
Yeah.
But I'm 30, I'm going to be 31 June. I'm getting fatter all the time. It's going to be one of those things where I'm going to be like literally on my last leg before I die. And like, I do it, just once. And then I do it, I die somewhat happy.
Speaking of train hopping, if I may, I know a little bit about the history of this, which I think you might find interesting.
Oh, sure.
One of the things that I show my students near the end when we're doing genre studies is I show them various codes, pirate codes, and we compare it to like the student code of conduct and that kind of thing. And one of the most beautiful American documents that I've ever come across is in 1896 at the Hobo fucking convention. Seriously.
Yep.
Dude, the Hobo
convention.
Are crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
They developed the Hobo Road Code, and it's like this list of 20 rules for hobos. And it's pretty simple, like clean up after yourself. When you're hopping a train, pretend you're like one of the crew and pitch in where you can. Kill child molesters. Like, it's just simple shit that everybody knows. But, I mean, like, it's such a beautiful moment where, like, this was a community of, like, older gentlemen, displaced, traveling the countryside, just, like, pitching in and just, living that, the precursors for, like, Bob Dylan types and, Woody Guthrie and all the people that followed.
Oh, yeah. Well, not Bob Dylan. He's kind of a poser.
Okay.
But no, Woody Guthrie, oh, yeah, he's OG traveler there.
Right, yeah. And so, like, nowadays, of course, you'll get the shit beat out of you or whatever if somebody catches you jumping a train or they'll call the cops, whatever. Which is, the world's just different. It's just a smaller place than it used to be, I think.
Maybe. I would say it's just more technology. Like, if I were to go on a John Zerzan like rant right now, I would say that if you were to wipe out all its technology, especially with social networking and surveillance, yeah, you could easily have those same type of conditions back then. At least that's kind of what I think.
Huh.
What type of conditions?
Where you could just easily hop a train and
just
go wherever you want. Or, like they always say on last podcast, especially when they cover serial killers and all that from like the 60s and 70s, you could literally just go somewhere and disappear.
I feel like it might be maybe a factor of people's own sense of security. It's getting hard for me to articulate this point on the fly, but basically...
That's literally what all these podcasts
yeah, I know.
are.
Well, I don't want to stumble and just not speak, but, like, I wonder sometimes if maybe people were more lenient with the rules and more reliant on their own moral compass to decide what was right and wrong when we didn't have access to the entirety of the world's information at our hands. So you kind of had to rely on your own judgment for a whole lot more before we were so surrounded by technology. So if you're on a train, if you're a train conductor and you see a guy that's down on his luck trying to get a free ride to Oklahoma or whatever, then it's your decision. Are you going to do something about this? Are you going to call the cops? Or are you going to give the guy a sandwich and be like, hey, man, I saw you. You should probably move. Yeah. You have the choice. But now you don't really have the choice because you could lose your job.
Exactly.
If they find out that if say, a security camera footage catches a guy jumping on the train and you see it and then
you're just shrugging on camera
going, fuck it, whatever. Now you're liable. And so I think... that was the trade-off that we got for making people responsible for their own actions, or enforcing that mentality of following the rules because of surveillance. that maybe people are less likely to just let it go on a personal level.
Well, also with social media, especially, you're more influenced by the views of the world, and that's most knowable, unfortunately, with people with prejudices.
Yeah, but I mean, what is the opinion of the world? People shouldn't try to take the chance of jumping on the train, and that should be illegal. Why? You know, like especially if it's a freight train and it's just hauling coal from West Virginia to New York City or something, then why shouldn't someone be able to just jump on the side of it?
Zachary, it's because this page I follow on Facebook doesn't like train hoppers, so I don't like train hoppers.
Well, the most easily accessible answer is, well, because he could fall off and be injured and then potentially sue the railroad. You know?
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's really the only reason why.
Woody Guthrie would have made so much money if he actually did that.
I don't know.
Oh,
my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, that's curious. There was a rule, actually, in a small town in Michigan where business owners could be fined for not removing graffiti from their own businesses. And
Wait, I might remember hearing this. Any idea what the town was called?
I wonder if it was Muskegon or somewhere.
Oh,
but
I think there's somewhere up north where I'm from where they did something like that.
Okay,
not Alpena where I'm from, but some town up there.
The reason it really became interesting was when a bookstore owner was actually fined for not taking down a little. It was like a 2-color stencil. It was just a pretty beautiful little piece. It was a guy with a gun in his mouth in black spray paint, and then out of the back of his head, it just with red spray paint was like just blood shooting out in the shape of a heart.
Well, this was a small business, right?
Yeah, this was like an elderly bookstore owner, and they did a news piece about him because he was like, "No, I'm not going to remove it. I think it's pretty."
Yeah,
you know.
I totally agree with him, but on one hand, I could see why people might find that a tad bit offensive.
Because it's like a suicide.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
You don't want to like bring your kids to the bookstore, pick up the latest J.K. Rowling, and see that.
It was just the size of this book. It was something small down in a back alley. Or
it was just a small thing. It wasn't like a big mural.
No, nothing like that. So, yeah, but the fact that business owners would be fined for somebody else's actions, there's so many different places to go with that, I guess, and I don't even know which thread to go down with the.
So what eventually happened?
I have no idea. I think eventually maybe he was forced to remove it, but what a stupid rule, though. I don't really.
Big government.
Right.
But back to Trip to Herald. Okay, so
sure.
So technically, you released one album. It's on YouTube.
Yeah. Don't listen to it. It's just it's fun. Listen to Maybe Jesus is a Bamf. That's good. I can stand behind that one.
So,
but it's just there's so many better things.
So I take it you would not be cool with me using "Arson Isn't My Job" as an outro song for this.
Please do. That's fine.
Oh, okay, because I did ask your permission for that.
Oh, yeah, no problem, man. No, I'm just saying that, like, look, it's like a juvenile little thing that I did so long ago. And I'm not trying to be depressing or anything because I'm happy with it. I'm glad it exists.
You may feel this now, but like when you're 50 and 60, you're gonna look back on it like, that's shit.
Oh yeah. I mean, I still listen to it myself sometimes. Every few months, just because like I'm like, yeah, that was me, that kind of thing. But
all right, and you're still performing music. I know that you perform at Old Dog.
Yeah, I do. I do a lot of folk punk covers. And I've lately started doing folk punk covers of Disney princess music, which is just a blast. Like, you guys should come down one of these Tuesdays. Hearing "Let It Go" from the Frozen movie, because those songs, or Moana, "How Far I'll Go," that's another one I do. these are really revolutionary songs. Like, they're all about, I'm going to do whatever I want, no rules, no right, no wrong, total freedom. That's what these kids are being taught. And so to, like, put that into what my dad calls it screamo music. I can't scream. It's more yelling, I guess. But that's what I use it for. It's kind of an emotional outlet. I just like to yell at people for 15 minutes, and then I feel a lot better.
It's fun, though. Yelling into a microphone it's a cathartic process.
Yeah. Any plans, I guess, besides performing at Old Dog, to do any more recording, any different projects, any more trip to Herald?
I've kind of moved on to different art forms. I wish that I was better at music, but the thing about me is that poetry has always been my one love, and poetry speaks to me so much more than music does. I know that's different than a lot of people, and a lot of people are just like, don't really care about poetry. Most people.
This is an excellent segue, actually. Let's get into that.
Okay.
You are indeed a poet, and that's actually how you and I met at poetry reading.
Yeah.
How do you get started writing?
So I started writing poetry in high school. I always knew I wanted to be a writer since 5th grade. I had a wonderful 5th grade teacher who we read a book that I'm actually, this is awesome. I get to teach this book this summer for the first time. The one book that got me into writing, and I knew I wanted to be a writer, was Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt. And it's the story about this family that has to travel around America to hide their identity because they will never die, because they had discovered by accident the wellspring of eternal life. And so this young girl who's like 16 or something, or 15 or whatever, she's given a vial or a bottle of the water by this boy from the family that she fell in love with, and he says, when you're 17, drink the water, and we'll get married and we'll run away or whatever. And it turns out at the end of the book that she doesn't, and the whole thing is just a message about thinking about, is eternal life actually a good thing? What are the implications to this? Is living forever something you'd actually want? And it blew my mind. So I started writing just in middle school and stuff, like Lord of the Rings knockoff fantasy nonsense, and slowly developed short stories in high school, and then in college I really started hitting my stride with poetry. And I was just like writing down, like, probably for a while there. I think there was 1 month where I wrote like a poem a day.
Very nice.
Yeah, I don't really write like that very much anymore.
I feel.
But yeah, I had just the most fantastic poetry professors. Chad Sweeney, Adam Clay, Bill Olson, Nancy Eimers. People that just really opened my mind to such an extent. And I was like, I love this. I love being a part of this group. We all come together and we study the Walt Whitman and Allen Ginsberg, and just I remember one time Minnow at Fourth Coast just came up to me and just slapped Howl down on the table in front of me, and he said, "You need to stop everything you're doing. You need to read this entire thing right now." And I did, and I was just like, whoa, like,
very nice.
And I actually made it my mission to try to memorize it, and at one point I had memorized, like, I could recite by heart like the first 4 or 6 pages of Howl, and I was really proud of myself. My writing, do you mind if I just keep talking about poetry?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Sure. So it evolved a lot. When you start out writing poetry in college, or short stories or anything, I think one of the traps that people often fall in is well, first of all, people think that poetry needs to be vague on purpose. It doesn't. If you're trying to be vague on purpose so nobody understands what you're talking about, you're doing it wrong. That's not. And I understand that there's some poets that have gotten to that level of like like, I have trouble understanding what Jory Graham is talking about half the time. Like, she's published like 70 books or something, but because that's just her style, and she can do it because she's just such an amazing poet. But another one that one of the biggest things I had to get away from in my writing was going to college, and basically you just have a young, angry, white male protagonist who is like a total smartass, and he's right about everything, and everybody around him is annoying him, and in the end he's just right, and everybody else sucks. And that's kind of the way I was writing, just very ego-driven writing. And then I started to open my eyes, and I started to write a lot about more what I was seeing around me. And when I really hit my stride in poetry, it must have been 2011 or 2012, no, maybe 2010. I was living at Gary's anyways. I was living with the old man I met at Fourth Coast. And I was sitting up in this old, just falling apart house room with open windows, and I was working on a typewriter that I had gotten from my boss, Amy Smith at the Old Dog. And I got this idea in my head that I was going to... It started out as the Newspaper Stand Poem Project. And the idea was I was going to write a poem in a very concise stanzas, just very short, like 4 stanza sections. And I was going to print them off or whatever and wheat paste them on newspaper stand boxes all over the city. And it was going to be like a treasure hunt. It was going to be awesome. And I actually wrote that poem for Joyce Pines, my journalism professor at the time. Not the one that I think ratted me out.
No.
That was a different one.
I actually think I know which one you're talking about. And honestly, I didn't like them either.
Yeah.
But,
right.
But anyway.
So this poem eventually... And it was, it's a little bit howlish in its brevity, I guess. But it ended up being 27 parts. And one day I submitted it to some sort of contest or whatever. And I got an email from Bill. And he's like, this is amazing. Like, I got to put this up for an award. And so he gave me $1,000. And the Herb Scott Award for Excellence in Poetry.
Very
first
nice.
Undergrad for it. Yeah, that was... a total blast. It was very validating. Of course, shortly thereafter, they made me pay $900 to, scrub off East Hall graffiti. So I ended up with $100 and change. But that's when I hit my stride, and that's when I really, Bill wrote something about it that struck with me that I hoped to carry with me throughout the rest of my poetry career, which was, he said, it is unflaggingly generous in its experiential understanding of the human condition. And as I got to know Bill over the years
That's
that came by...
That's a quality comment to receive.
Right?
Yeah,
it's really nice.
That's good, yeah.
Like, one of the things that Bill loves to explore in poetry, and the poetry that I think he really likes, is when you're looking at the poor, the disenfranchised, the people in the city around you, and you're looking at them with such... It almost goes beyond empathy. It almost goes, when you're looking at someone as such your brother. And that's why I told my dad earlier, I don't think Republicans can be poets. I just don't see it. I don't believe it. It doesn't count for me. You can't write Republican poetry. I still stand by that, I think. Just got my MFA in poetry, too, so I'm right.
It's a qualified statement.
Controversial statements here on the Garret Schuelke podcast.
Yeah, right. So, anyways, after that, I kind of figured out what I was going to do with it, how I was going to use poetry. And so I started coming out with all these collections of poetry that I would give to my friends. I'd have poetry readings. And to this day, I don't really submit to journals. It's just not my thing. All my colleagues were doing it, and every week they were like, "Oh, I got published in the Seattle Review online," or
lucky
whatever.
them.
Yeah, and that's fun, and it's cool to see that kind of stuff. And as far as professional works go, that's kind of how you get started. You start getting slowly poems published in these journals, online or otherwise. And once you have like 7 or 10 or 20 poems like that in various journals, you get a manuscript, you submit it to a full manuscript contest, and the way you get published is you basically win an award. And then you get a book. With me, I just like the bohemian... a lot of my poetry is also pretty confessional. It's the same like when Allen Ginsberg wrote Howl, he said that the reason he wrote it was because I assumed it was never going to be published, so I could write whatever I wanted to, because I didn't want my daddy to see what was in there.
Well,
you know what I mean?
As for Carl Solomon, who he, a friend and publisher that he met in the very same mental asylum he was briefly booked into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, same thing. So I also like to have a lot of just publisher control over what I put out. So I put out an anthology around, I think, 2012 called Folk Crimes, and it was pretty much all of the undergraduate work that I was proud of. There's something like 70 poems in there or something, I don't know. And then after that, as the years go by, just every year or two, I take all the poems I've written that year and I put it into a new book. And so the one that came after was A Getaway Car, Heavy with Ghosts. Another one, the most recent one, was Math of the Moonflower. And each one, I like to see the evolution of it. I don't really like this mixing and matching stuff with my poems. I feel like they belong in a certain time and place. Like each book has like a different style. I was trying something new with poetry, and I just like to keep those, I don't know, in order, I guess. And so that's kind of what I try to do with poetry. I noticed one of the, if I can give advice to prospective poets.
Oh, absolutely.
I noticed that my poetry really began to suffer shortly after that Kalamazoo poem, Open Windows, Glazed Brown Eyes, came out. And the reason my poetry kind of suffered a bit was because I had finally developed a concrete political ideology. So I was starting to write poems with morals at the end, like capitalism, yikes, or whatever.
Kind of like the old South Park episodes. I learned something today.
Exactly, yeah. And that was, I could see it myself, the world just start to get smaller for me. Like, with all this graffiti and stuff, this book, if I may go back to it, there's so many different things going on. There's so much creative stuff. And I got really into Crime Think, of course. And
yes.
So I still buy all their books and give them out for free. I buy them in bulk. And, but yeah, once I was like, oh, this is straightforward, this is anarchy, and it has borders now, it has a parameter. You can't do that. You really got to just, I don't know, explore the world around you, and it includes things that contradict, and that's okay. And you can do that in poetry too.
Very quickly here, now that I'm remembering it. Remember when you, me, and Mac went to Chicago to see that Crime Think presentation?
Yes, that was awesome, man.
Yeah, I particularly remember this was around the time that the book Capitalism came out.
Work, right?
Yeah, Work. Shit.
Yeah, Work.
Yes, Work.
Yeah, and, Capitalism, Economics, and Resistance.
Yep, and we went up and talked to them afterwards.
Yeah.
I think I angered one of them because I asked them when the sequel to Evasion was coming out.
I remember this.
And he's like, no, we don't work with that author anymore.
Right. Yeah, that was probably their worst book. They maybe shouldn't have even... I don't know.
I still like it, but there's a lot of things in there where I'm like, it's cringeworthy.
Yeah,
Like, my favorite part, the cringiest part to me was when the author of Evasion apparently talks about how he goes into a low-income neighborhood. He just wanders into it. He's like, and he's very excitable, like, kind of like a Kerouac knockoff. And he just says, wow, it's just like being a gangster rap video here. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yikes. Yeah, we got to meet Brian. Nobody knows his last name, I guess. But, yeah, he's one of my favorite writers, really. And probably the two big debates in the last 10 years that I think were just incredible. Or first of all, Bill Nye versus Ken Ham, because I grew up on Ken Ham.
That was a great debate.
Yeah, but even better than that was it was called. I still show clips of this to my students. What was it called? Well, Brian from Crime Think. It was called Occupy Tactics, and it was a discussion about the Black Bloc because Chris Hedges, the Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, had written this crappy article called "The Cancer in Occupy," so they were debating whether or not the Black Bloc should be a legitimate tactic within social movements.
Kind of akin to how they view Antifa today.
Yeah, kind of like, and what struck me about that so much that I took with me out of that was that how we describe violence, like what is violence and who gets to define it, is a really important question because as they say, like when the slumlords force your rent up, that's not violence, but resisting an eviction is violence. Like the cops throwing tear gas canisters in the news is not described as violence, but they literally print violence erupted when black-clad protesters began hurling tear gas canisters at the police. And it's like, dude, they're doing that because they're like 60-year-old women and children at this protest. And we're trying to keep these people from hospitalization.
Think of the poor Starbucks windows.
Think of the poor Starbucks windows. Yes, indeed.
I don't know if you remember this, but you and I actually had some conversations about Crime Think a long time ago. Because I met you while I was employed at a bagel shop adjacent to Fourth Coast.
I remember you working there.
Listeners. Yeah, but I used to come clean with the day-old bagels at the end of the day, and you'd come in and get bags every once in a while. You actually, I believe this would be whatever that time period, 2009, 2010-ish, where that you guys are talking about. Because I came to the concepts of anarchism and those kind of I don't even want to call them fringy beliefs, but non-traditional
radical beliefs.
Yeah, radical beliefs.
Sure.
I wouldn't even call it necessarily that radical, but at any rate, I came to it from the world of software piracy.
Okay.
And so that's how I grew up as a phone freaker in high school and hacker type person, and I was into coding and Linux in the mid-90s and building computers and stuff. So I was introduced to all of these concepts from that venue, and I remember having conversations with you about basically the philosophical aspects of anarchism, and I can't remember the content of those conversations to save my life, but it's really interesting to note the evolution of your own personal beliefs, because how you were talking about your political beliefs may have been a bit more liquid at that time, or if not liquid, then not defined as you would consider it now. And I definitely feel the same way. I feel pretty set in most of my beliefs, but back then I was exploring all sorts of concepts like that too, and I always wanted to go to one of those Crime Think things, and I think it was right after the Chicago one, because I had heard about it and you had gone and you were just telling me about it. So just an interesting anecdote from the past.
We went to Chicago. It was in your car, and first I think we actually stopped at a Catholic worker house that was there.
We did. That was so cool.
White Rose Catholic Worker. That was on my suggestion because
oh man, I love the Catholic workers.
Yeah, because that was one of the things that got me interested in anarchism, because I never considered myself a Christian anarchist per se, but I did grow up Catholic, which that's a whole nother saga I can talk about for hours. But when I was looking for radical stuff within Catholicism, I found the Catholic worker movement, and I got very interested in them, and I still very much like them to this day. I still have a lot of respect for them. And I did try out to get into one of their houses, and unfortunately it didn't work out because the one I want to go to, which was based in the back of the yards, and it's called the Sukasa Catholic Worker, and they're great people. It's a very, very great project they got going on, but they are more focused on helping families, particularly Latino families that were homeless or they're dealing with a domestic situation. While I was more the whole, we should do this project and go protest this and protest that. And they were pretty much, that's nice and we participate in some things, but we're more about taking care of this family that's happening here. And fortunately, I didn't really have the background in doing that, so ultimately I didn't really fit in there, so it didn't work out.
Yeah.
But,
well, I described myself as a Christian anarchist for
that's what I'm about to say. That was my first indication when I met you. You talked about anarchy, but you also talked a lot about your experiences as a Christian. More particular, I think some of your criticisms of local people, local leaders, I think.
Sure,
That.
Yeah, going back to Jesus as a Banff, why does my church have a coffee shop and a bookstore in the lobby? That, man, dude, screw those guys. Jeff and Beth Jones, they now have competing frickin' coffee joints in their church. They have a Starbucks, and then they have another coffee thing across.
Wait, who are these people?
Valley Family Church over on I-94. Yeah, just those money grubbing. It's freaking ridiculous.
I've heard nothing good about these people in this place.
Yeah. If you wait, so they have a Starbucks in their church?
Yep, and they also have another.
Like a Big B or something?
Yeah.
Okay, that's really fucked up.
2 in the same church. You know what I mean? Come on, Jesus overturned the frickin' tables in the temple.
Maybe that's the poetry of Republicans, is pitting competing coffee shops against each other.
See, if we just introduce the free market to poetry...
Yeah.
That's really... God, that's so odd.
So I went there for a number of years, and there was actually, around the time that I left, there was also a pretty big exodus of people. Probably half the worship team there, all these people, they decided they couldn't take it anymore, and the reason was because
couldn't afford the coffee.
Wasn't that? But it was because the direction the church was going was so creepy. They had finally decided that. And do you mind if I talk about those people for a second? Because
absolutely,
it's just ridiculous.
Just rage.
Yeah. Okay. So Jeff and Beth Jones are the pastors of this church, and they had.
Did you grow up in this church?
In high school, yes.
Oh, high school.
And they had decided to administer or whatever this kind of this ideology to everybody, where basically they said, so listen, this is how it works. God talks to Jeff and Beth, and then Jeff and Beth talk to everybody else.
Oh, of course.
And, these people who had been raised all their lives to be like, no, God speaks to you through the Bible. God, will definitely talk to me. I at that church, people speak in tongues, they go,
okay, Zach and I grew up Catholic. Was there a particular branch of Christianity that you were raised in?
Reformed, and then VFC is they call themselves non-denominational, but it's like Pentecostal.
Okay. That explains the whole speaking tongues thing.
Yeah. So anyways, people were pretty upset by this. They were like, no, you can't just say that God only talks to you, and then he, and it's just the money. It's ridiculous. I think Jeff and Beth, well, first of all, they're extremely wealthy because of this church. And there was one time when...
Kind of like a Joel Osteen kind of thing going on.
Yeah. On stage, he gave his wife this incredibly expensive motorcycle for her birthday. And we're sitting there, and
God's gift.
Yeah, I was sitting there with a friend of mine who was with her parents at the time, and she said to her parents, "You realize that that's where the money you just gave them went, right? They're showing you in broad daylight, exactly what's going on."
Yeah. So basically, these two individuals came to church, and they kind of tried to take over. Or they took over.
Well, they started the church. These are the lead pastors.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, they started the whole thing. And what was really offensive to me, this I got really pissed off about this. Shortly after, a lot of young black kids were getting shot by the cops. It was around, I mean, it's still happening, of course, but when that was being filmed a lot more and it was starting to become sort of a publicly heated issue, they decided to have an event, like, in response to this, called We Love the Police. I am not kidding. You can't make this shit up. Yeah, like, and it's just like, you know, whatever, just typical Republican, you know, boys in blue support, you know, how could they...
Blue lives matter.
Yeah, you know, and it's just like, the timing of it was just so wrong and off. You know what I mean? Like, so, I don't know. The thing is that I really have a profound respect for a lot of Christians. I really do. And a lot of people don't like that because, like, 82% of white evangelicals voted for Trump. But at the same time, like, I was raised Christian. I grew up Christian. I love my parents to death. They would die for me. You know.
And a lot of that is motivated by the ideology that they grew up in. I could say the same thing about my parents, but it's also
genuine, though.
Yeah, it's exactly.
It really is.
Yeah, there's a difference between being forced and complying to an ideology and wholeheartedly believing it, and only, at least in my opinion, only a couple of small aspects of the overall agenda of Christianity is suspect to me. But overall, the message, the condensed message, the condensed stated message is positive.
Yeah,
it's totally positive.
Well, absolutely.
It's hard for me to disparage that, even though I really disagree with organized religion in a big way.
Well, if you think about it, this one way that I was told about it, that at first the message was all God's word, you know, thus it was pure. But then us humans came in and fucked it up with our denominations, our other things that were just adding on to it, different interpretations, you know, different versions of said word. I mean, look at King James Bible, for example.
Well, every generation has a new Christianity, you know, like...
Yeah, that is so closely tied with the evolution of Western civilization in and of itself, though. Because for the last almost 2,000 years, it's been inextricably linked with Western civilization.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to be able to figure out how American Christianity is just the opposite of whatever Christianity is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
it's horrible.
Of their stated purpose, too.
Yeah.
It's really crazy.
I forgot who told me this, but it was early on in my Catholic days, was that I don't know if it was someone in the church or at my school or what, but they basically said that that in Rome, they view American Catholics as more Protestants than European Catholics. You know, as if we're just like the posers who are just like, oh, yay, the Pope's come to visit. Awesome. But then everything else is just, I could go to church on Saturday night instead, you know, before I go out.
Yeah, there's so many Christians that I know. I sometimes feel like I have to speak up about it and defend them because, there's a lot of questionable aspects. Christianity,
especially here in Kalamazoo with the group that we at least used to run with.
Yeah, but the people that I know they go so far to their way to donate their time and effort and money to charities and to making the world a better place. They're not just standing outside Planned Parenthood spitting on people. Right. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, like, you don't, in this day and age, I think, run into as much public, you know, condemnation of things like homosexuality and stuff like that. And even if they believe it, times have changed where, you know, this is a really old, outdated one, but, you know, hate the sin and love the sinner, stuff like that, which, you know, isn't great, but it's not like, you know, we're burning witches at the stake. You know what I mean? So I feel like in some aspects, Christianity is, at least in the last 100 years, kind of had to have been dragged into the present, you know, almost forcefully by the left and by these progressive movements within the church that saw what was going on and changed it. I mean, Even going back to 1600s when they brought guitars into church.
Oh, it's still technically going on. I mean, to bring up another great Catholic news here, the recent Pope basically said that, hell doesn't actually exist.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, he said hell doesn't exist. And
The new Pope is really cool. On a sidebar, like, he comes from Latin America. It's a completely different approach to...
your priests actually get killed there for their activism.
Yeah. I left the Catholic Church at age 18. Because that's when I was allowed, to leave the Catholic Church. But mentally, I left the Catholic Church probably around age 12 or 13, and actively tried to find a reason through Catholic apologetics to change my own mind. And I honestly, like, in the clarity of retrospect, almost appreciate the authoritarian and doctrinal approach to Catholicism, because it allowed me to use like an actual book to like double check and make sure that they actually did mean what I disagreed with, and then then I knew fundamentally I disagreed with what's going on here. Sure. And so it was almost that the structure of the thing itself that lent itself to being like that elucidated its errors to me. Like the action, like them saying you need to believe things this way, and then finding contradictions in that allowed me to see that it wasn't a perfection or a perfect piece of thought.
Sure. Yeah. The one debate I would love to see would be Francis Chan versus Rob Bell. You guys know either of these guys?
No. Honestly, I don't.
Okay, you guys got to check out Rob Bell. He's the progressive guy who has written a ton of books. One is called Sex God. One is called What We Talk About When We Talk About God. One of my favorites is called Love Wins. And basically, he attempts to go back through the Bible to the original Hebrew and Greek. And he tries to explain that never in the Bible was Jesus ever talking about a physical place that you go when you die. He was always just making a metaphor about the local dump or whatever. So he got pushback on it from another somewhat progressive Christian called Francis Chan, who runs, another one of these megachurch type things, but in a fairly responsible way, I think. They do Hillsong and that kind of stuff. And he wrote a book in response to Love Wins called Erasing Hell and the Danger of this new theology that basically says, you can go ahead and do whatever you want, you're not going to have eternal damnation. And he tries to say, yes, there actually is a hell, and it's important that we remind people of that, not to scare them into, whatever, but just because there's an actual danger for your eternal soul, and we need to make people aware, That is a debate I would totally die for. It sounds really fun. Yeah.
So John, what are your beliefs now, if you really have any?
Do you really have any, or did I lose them all?
Exactly.
Every single belief.
Yeah, exhaled them.
Just a complete shell of your former self.
Sure, that's a pretty broad question. I tell people all the time that there is no John Withee without Jesus Christ. I was a Christian for probably 22 years, and I'm like 28 now. So it's pretty simple. Some people try to ask me every once in a while, well, why don't you believe in God? And I'm like, because it's not freaking real, duh. But like
how else can you really say it?
I'm not going to go into it.
Exactly,
It's like 2,000 years old. So, but at the same time, the stories that shaped me, the values that I was given as a young child, all the way through high school, these things they were so important to me as stories, and they were so helpful, I think, for a while in me becoming the person I wanted to be. As far as beliefs go, I'm the kind of person at this point where I don't say something that I don't know to be true. And I very rarely try to hypothesize or, if somebody needs my opinion, I can tell them, hey, this is my guess about where things are going, but I don't know the future any more than anybody else. And I wish a lot of other people could get back to that, especially online.
Oh,
like, just don't say something you don't know for a fact to be true. Check your facts, check your sources, all that kind of stuff.
Well, they can be a fact, an alternative fact.
An alternative. Oh, God. This world. I don't know what to do with it sometimes. Yeah. I don't know exactly why we're here, but I think maybe just to have a good time. I don't know, man. That's such a broad question.
Boy, yeah. That's a big existential debate. We could have another time.
Oh,
perhaps.
One of the things I explore in my poetry, or I try to, is the fact that the nature of nature is violence. If that makes sense, this eats that, and there's this old Bukowski quote where he was being interviewed, and he said something like, "Oh, these naturalists and these scientists, they say, oh, this eats that and that eats this, and it all makes sense." And
he was actually very influenced by a naturalist poet.
Oh, yeah?
Named Robinson Jeffers. But the thing with Robinson Jeffers compared to other naturalists is that Jeffers had a very pessimistic outlook on life.
Okay.
I think, I know I'm really getting it wrong, but he even claimed to start his own thing called Inhumanism or something like that.
Inhumanism?
It's probably not that, but it's close.
Sure.
But there's your Bukowski fact for today.
Nice.
Anyway, go on.
Yeah. So Bukowski says, but what they fail to see is that it screams when it's eaten. The fly screams when it's eaten by the spider. I mean, not literally, but there's this.
It buzzes louder than it usually does.
Right. Like there is an innate issue, an almost seemingly unsolvable issue of violence in nature that everyone has to accept. It's not something that you can really... I mean, even once we get to fully automated gay-space communism, nature is still going to be violent.
Inevitable straight in space, man.
The inevitable future.
Right, yeah.
Once global warming just takes its planet.
And but it's weird to me that so many people accept it. Like Buddhists and stuff, that run around not stepping on ants, hardcore vegans,
Jainism.
This kind of stuff. That's great, and that's wonderful if people want to do that.
It also kind of sounds impossible.
Well, you can't go through your life without killing something.
Well,
or someone.
unless you deliberately step on an ant mound.
Yeah, but the issue of the ever-occurring and unstoppable eternal violence in nature is, it doesn't really address that issue. We as humans, we have societies, we get along, we decide, hey, let's try not to hurt each other or whatever. Sure, yeah, that's great, that's wonderful, but just this innate question just bothers me, that the fly screams when it's eaten. You know what I mean? And that's maybe something that it's worth exploring in poetry. Hopefully I don't come to any sort of conclusion about it, because then the poem's going to suck. But, hopefully I just open up more questions than answers.
Dude, here's my writing advice to you as a writer, is that you try not to think of there being an end to it. Because that's when things get dreadful, because then you look at okay, I just gotta write this and that, then I'm finally done. And it's like, oh no, what do I do then after I'm done writing? Or just it's even limiting in a way, because why write about anything else when you can write about this and finally end it all? That's something I personally have a struggle with as a writer, because product placement. I currently put out my first superhero novel in the Golden series.
Yeah, I just saw my first physical copy of that lying around here somewhere.
I know, which Zach helped work on that, editing and formatting. Check it out, Amazon.com. Anyway, no, I had, unlike my other stories, my literary fiction, I actually have a kind of a layout for it, kind of a plan of what I want to do with the main stories, and like, you know, short stories that would go along with it that fit into the timeline. And technically, there is an end to it, but I have other ideas to go along with it after the end. So I do kind of. So in a way, I guess. I'm trying to give sage advice here.
Oh, no, I get it. That's absolutely. I need to write more in that way.
Basically, my advice to you and other writers out there is try not to have an end in mind. Mm-hmm. Have a goal. You know, that's nice. Those are great. But don't have something where it's like, okay, I'll do this and that's it.
Right. Yeah. I like that, man.
All goals, no endings.
Yeah, totally. You know, by the way, going back to like Christianity and what people believe and that kind of stuff, one of my favorite books, it's on my top 5 desert islands, is Demanding the Impossible, A History of Anarchism by Peter Marshall. Beautiful freaking book.
I think I've heard Peter Marshall before.
He's a historian and he does a terrific job, but he has these 2 sections in it. One is called Christianity and one's called the Middle Ages. And they both talk about all the way from the birth of Christianity. You know, the early Christians were communists. They held everything in common. Sell everything you have and follow me. That Jesus never carried around money. He said, you know, don't even use money, so you don't have to pay taxes.
Even like the very early Christian anarchists, especially if you go back to like Leo Tolstoy.
Yeah.
Or at least he attempted to have that. To do something like that.
Yeah. This book, it just blew my mind because it goes back to all these different times in, like, say, the year 1342 and feudal times in Europe, and some peasant got a hold of a Bible, and then an angel of God, like, came down and told them, you know, to kill the rich, and, you know, like, just
redistribute the wealth. I noticed you're liking that book, my dad.
Right.
That'd be a really good idea.
Seriously, like, I mean, the revolutionary capacity of Christianity has always been a huge influence on anarchism and its development. And that's why I had to plug that book, too, because it's, you know, it's one of my favorite. A History of Anarchism by Peter Marshall.
Nice. Get back to writing. Besides poetry, you released a novel, or a children's novel.
Oh, yeah, a chapter book for children. The Scallywags of Nobody's Island.
Yeah, tell us, what's that about?
Sure. I like to call it it's the Animal Farm of anti-capitalism for kids. So, in the story, it got published a few years back by Combustion Books. What a fantastic company. Magpie, especially. They're a wonderful person who helped me out publishing it. So these 10 sailors, it plays around with identity a lot. So these 10 sailors, they crash land on a desert island. And the first thing they do is they overthrow their evil tyrannical captain to become pirates, because who wouldn't do that? So then they live off the bounty of the land. They're free. They can do whatever they want. They share coconuts and fish and all this kind of stuff. But then the clever first mate, he decides to start privatizing everything. So he says everybody has like one chunk of the island. And then he starts trading things for other things, like I'll give you a coconut for this, whatever. And so over the course of this, what happens is he starts to institute actually like a monetary system, and it gets to the point where he just owns the entire island. Everybody else is sleeping on a rock, like in the rain, off to the side of the island, and they only go back on the island to do work for him because they don't have anything. And so then they're workers, and they have to overthrow him to become scallywags. So, they end up, I think, punching him in the face and locking him in a cage. This is a book for 5th graders. Read it to your children.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
How did the idea for this book come about for you?
It came about because it was a book that I wanted to read, and I thought something like it had to exist somewhere. So I started getting online and looking at all these small press publishers, you know. Combustion Books happened to be one of them. And I was just like, I got on their website one day and I was like, this is so cool. It's their little logo is a girl opening a book with flames coming out of it. It says Publishers of Dangerous Fiction. So I bought like everything they had ever, put out. And I was reading through it and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to go with this. And so they put out a call for submissions. I think they got like 70 or 80 submissions, and they picked mine to publish. And so I wrote it specifically for a specific publishing company. I do recommend for any aspiring writers out there, one great way to get started is find a niche market. Find a group of people who are super passionate about one particular thing, and like go with that, and like write for an audience. Make sure you have an audience. And I ended up, it took about a year to edit, and somebody out in Germany, a German anarchist, has become more and more mysterious. He did the illustrations. By the time Scallywags came out, his name listed in the book is just a screen name. It's not even a first name anymore. He's just very mysterious. But I love his work.
Very crime thinkish.
Yeah, totally. But if you're listening, dude, thank you so much for illustrating my book. I wish I knew who you were. Yeah.
All right. And okay, so when did it come out? What year?
Was that 2012, 2014? 2014. It had to have been 2014, I think. Yeah.
And how's it worked out for you? How are sales?
I just enjoy having something published, and that's just kind of my MO. A lot of people don't realize how little money there is in writing. Right.
I assure you, I don't know about everyone else.
Yeah,
but
you guys know.
I know
you
very
guys
well.
know. Yeah. If somebody hands me a $10 bill once a year, I'm happy.
Funny, because that's actually how Zach paid my first royalty for Hub Jamboree, which we published through Elmblad Media Group. We were just looking at sales, and he's like, "Okay, here you go. Thank you."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you gotta take it seriously. You gotta do it because you love it, and there's no
exactly.
There's no other reason. I have this friend online. I'm not gonna name his name, but he's always like writing hashtag his own name, hashtag success, and he wrote this novel that he got self-published, and he's all about like. He's taking pictures of himself in Italy, surrounded by these beautiful women, and he like really wants to become this like famous author, writer, novelist. And I'm like, dude, you gotta pick a different thing to do if your goal is fame. If your goal is that.
Is this guy involved in alt-lit?
No, not. Oh, it's not an alt-lit guy.
Okay, he's not the guy I'm thinking of.
Okay, yeah. It's really bizarre. No, it's not. If you were thinking of Steve Rogenbuck, completely different guy. Steve Rogenbuck is awesome.
He's a nice guy when I met him, but he blocked me on Facebook because I made fun. I just made some fun at one of his manifestos because I thought they were. Well, basically, this thing that he wrote is like a State of the Union for his Boost House. Mm. And as you know, Rogenbuck identifies as a feminist. Very much about that.
Sure, yeah.
But in his statement, he mentioned that he was living with two women, and he said, like, yeah, the two women both have jobs while I stay home and work on my art. I was like, wait. So if I live at Booth's house, I can have women working for me while I stay home and work. I don't think he liked that, so he blocked me.
That's interesting.
I know.
Yeah, that might have hit it a little too close to home.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's stupid. I have some criticism of his work, but I don't hate him or anything.
Sure.
So yeah, my bad, Steve. Please unblock me.
Please unblock me. We're just dudes on a rock in space, man.
Anyway, okay, it's not Steve Rogenbuck.
Yeah, no, but. I just like it bothers me because he messages me sometimes asking for like advice about publishing and stuff, and I just like, dude, I can give you advice about what I do. I've put out a number of books self-published. I've put out a number of books that were not self-published that were professional and went through.
But John, where are the hashtags?
Right? Yeah, exactly. And it's not what it's about, and there's just. and the thing about it is that, like, these people that think with this mentality, there's no way in hell that they're ever going to achieve their goal, because if you look at people like Stephen King or whoever they aspire to be, they're not like them. They don't act like them. They don't get on Facebook and, like, say all this crap about, like, oh, I'm going to be a successful whatever. I'm waving my arms in a weird way.
Stephen King does have some good social media moments.
Sure.
I think that it was on either Facebook or Twitter where someone wrote, like, hey, fuck you, Stephen King. And he wrote back, well, fuck you too, kid. And he got, like, over 1 million likes on that comment.
There was this guy, Brandon Blouse, who trying to... he's a whole story.
Yeah.
One of the things he said to somebody was, "I can write circles around you," and I'm like, no writer ever has said that. That's so stupid.
Is that the guy who was like harassing our mutual friend there and revealed that he wrote a pedophilic poem or something?
This is a great time to tell that story.
All right, yes, let's tell it.
All right, guys, here we go.
First
this
of
is
all,
fun.
Summarize what happened exactly. What's the situation?
Okay, so every 2 or 3 months, one of my female friends posts screenshots of messages they get on Facebook Messenger saying, look, this guy's a freaking creeper in this particular one. A guy was calling a friend of mine like a slut and a whore and asking for nude pictures and that kind of stuff. And it's basically, it's pretty innocuous. It's pretty easy. Like, it's just stop. Don't do that. And usually people get the hint when somebody, like, posts something like that. Like, your screenshots are now public, and she says, I don't know, he's a rando, randomly added me, I don't know who he is. And his response to that was to comment on that fucking post. Like, that's how arrogant this guy was. Wow. Yeah, and so this goes on for 8 hours. I mean, this thread has like 950 comments. If you have...
I know, I made fun of him on there. So.
The zingers are amazing. If you ever have a glass of red wine in 45 minutes, it's totally worth a read. Because, So basically, he wouldn't quit. And so we were like, all right, man, whatever. You could have just walked away or apologized or anything. So we're just going to, tell your mom. You showed all this stuff to your mom. And he's like, joke's on you. She disowned me years ago. And we're like, what? How is that a joke on us, you idiots? And then we're like, all right, I guess we'll tell your girlfriend. And, oh, wait, your girlfriend was 16 when you were 32 and you guys started dating? Yeah. And you've got all this poetry on your Facebook about being a pedophile and just really unhealthy attitudes toward,
very
coming of age type shit. Yeah, and we just started uncovering all this insane stuff about him. So we dox his rap sheet, which he's like, oh, I can't believe it took you guys this long. It's like, motherfucker, it's been 2 hours and we don't even care about you. So we dox his rap sheet. This guy, his name is Brandon Blouse, by the way. I want everybody to know that. And so...
Called out.
Yeah, three DUIs and an aggravated stalking charge.
We may have to censor that out because he may sue me potentially.
Yeah, no. That's great.
Slander.
Yeah.
No.
It's true.
No, I did threaten to sue him after he called me a dummy or something.
That was dope. He went with that for days. So basically, he was mad at us for calling him a pedophile. He was, because the age of consent in Michigan is 16. It's like, motherfucker. So, anyways, we go so far out of our way to say, like, listen, man, step back. Is this really the person you are? Is this really the person you want to present yourself as? And he's like, I stand for freedom, and I'm suing you all for libel, and I'm against witch hunts. And this fucking guy, what was so disturbing about him, too, was just the way that he talked. He liked to use big words like...
he's an intellectual.
Yeah, his big words were so fucking stupid. I can't even remember what some of them were, but who'd like randomly drop like anachronistic, meaning like, from a different time or place. And it's like, dude, the only reason you would ever use that vernacular is because the other people aren't going to know what you're saying and feel like you're smart. So anyways, rap sheet happens, he gets outed there. We contact his girlfriend's mom, saying, look, he's been grooming this girl for like 2 years. This is a terrible situation. And so anyways, this goes on for 8 hours. The next day, I'm like, I see he's still commenting on it. So I'm like, okay, I'm sick and tired of this guy. So I get a hold of the chief of police at Oakland University and also the dean of students there. And I'm like, okay, this guy's been berating this woman for like 8 hours on her fucking page. He can't do that. This is so inappropriate. And at the time, he had told me he was a graduate student, which was my job. And I know you can't do that as a graduate student. Yeah. So, but no, he had lied.
You admit to criminal behavior. The best thing to do is to also say where you work.
Yeah, right. No, I still haven't figured out exactly where he works, but I know it's near that college, near Oakland University, and it's also he's a curator for an estate somewhere. So if anybody wants to, I'm not saying that anybody should slash his tires or anything, but
we here at the Garret Schuelke podcast do not endorse any kind of harmful activity towards pedophiles.
That'd be horrible if that happened.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
so,
it has been established that nature is violent.
But
exactly, there you go.
It doesn't end there. I'm talking back and forth with the chief of police, and he's like, "Oh yeah, Brandon, we've known him for years. He has all these creepy whatever behaviors." So, anyways, he gets a hold of my phone number and my dad's phone number.
Yes. How did he do that, by the way?
Somewhere, like at this point, I'm kind of a public figure. If somebody wants my phone number, I'm sure they can find it somewhere.
Yeah.
See,
I checked out the e-shrine for John Withee.
Yeah. Right, so because he's like trying to reverse dox me or something, and I'm like, dude, whatever. There's nothing. So you're the pedophile.
I showed you John Withee. I doxed you on the NAMBLA page.
Yeah, it was so weird. Because he would post like all these screenshots of like his conversations with our mutual friend, and we're reading these, and we're like, dude, this is evidence against you.
Wait, so
how do you not understand?
So he didn't even like edit it to make himself look.
No, he was just that ignorant. And so he gets... Dude. Seriously, this is insane. It just blew my mind. And so he's like, on the phone, you could tell he's cracking, right?
Yeah, I know. John, I just contacted this.
Yeah.
It's all...
He's like, you really think you can get away with defamation of character just because of my stalking offense? And I'm like, yes, motherfucker, I think I can.
Wait, so did you actually talk to him, or did he just leave messages?
He left messages from a private number. Like these threatening voicemails about, you are getting sued and I am taking this to an attorney, and I'm like, dude, all I did was call you an idiot on the internet, so good luck with that, and for good reason, by the way.
You put it up on your SoundCloud like old Beardo gets
away with defamation of character. Yeah.
proved.
4 weeks later, I get a call from Nick Witchie. I shouldn't have said his name, I don't think.
Yeah, well.
Oh well. Anyways, my boss at my boss at Western, he calls me in, and I'm like, hey man, what do you need to talk to me about? And I think like, oh no, did I like skipped too many classes or something. And he's like, I'm like, so should I close the door? Because this is my boss's boss. And I'm like, you tell me. He's like, I got 2 words for you, Brandon Blouse. And I was like, I just started laughing. I was like, all right, sure thing. What do you want to know? And he tells me, so Brandon Blouse tried to do the same thing to me that I did to him, which was, I got a hold of the dean of students and I sent him all this information.
Payback.
Yeah, and I said, look, this guy's a bad egg. He's doing all this terrible stuff. And what I told them and the cops was, I'm just trying to do what I can to make sure that you guys can make your community as safe as possible. He gets on the phone with my boss and says, I want to get John Withee in trouble. And it's like, it's hilarious. So Nick, of course, is like, all right, send me what you got. He sends him like 16 screenshots of messages or whatever that go through this before this board of corrections or something, and they're all sitting there. He says they're all sitting there scratching their heads and saying, like, all I see here is that John trolled the troll. Like, he did nothing wrong. He just, like, completely, if you see something, say something. You know what I mean? Yeah. But his whole thing was, he was still just so intense on this defamation of character libel suit, which was so completely imaginary.
I know.
Like, he's such an idiot, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you started a group about him.
Yeah, okay, that was his one win. The one win that he had against us was I started a group called Brandon Blouse is the most amazing idiot on the internet. And it was just this place for us to, look at all the stupid things he had posted publicly about white people are a superior race and women are objects and, just fucking idiot.
Yeah, and you actually messaged me about that. Like, what do you think, Garrett? You think this is a good idea? Am I taking it too far?
Right.
And my only advice, and I'll say this out, more advice from the Garret Schuelke podcast, is if you're going after a creep who fucked with you, have the evidence. Like, have the screenshots, have the voice recordings. Don't deviate from that. Because then they probably, if they do indeed bring you a court, they could do that. But if you have the shit proving it, you're good.
Yeah, man, that was really fun. I got to be like a hero on the internet for a day, I guess. Yeah. So and since then, by the way, that situation actually led me to really start thinking about a broader issue, which is that people on the right, especially in the Trump era, have no internet or information literacy. Like, they don't understand that what you say on the internet. One of his posts was, I set all my posts to public to give my haters something to do. And it's like, okay, here's a screenshot of your pedo poetry. So they don't realize that you can get in so much trouble. Like, and I presented actually. I'm gonna share this with Brandon Blouse. I'm gonna find a way to get this interview to him
because he's gonna listen.
He's gonna listen to it. He's gonna love it. And so I shared the whole situation with my students at college. I told them, look, this is what I did on the internet with this guy. This is what he was doing, and this was my response. And I told them at the end, the reason I tell you this story, because we had just gotten done reading a couple of articles about, one of them in the textbook was why women aren't allowed on the internet. And it's just all about this internet harassment where people get death threats and, all the journalists and stuff. It's ridiculous. And they can't just get off the internet because this is their job. They worked hard for this. They went to college for this, So, anyways, I told them, look, here's my message with all this is you don't even really need to legally get someone in trouble. Like, the chief of police at Oakland told me, I got to go down to the cop shop and get charges going about an aggravated stalking charge against this idiot. I did get that process started just to cover my ass, but you can totally nuke somebody's life for being an asshole, and that's great without any legal. It's totally outside the cops, that people these days are contacting employers, they're doxing people's information, and it's just terrific, that we can do that. It's a way for communities to defend themselves against this type of behavior,
Oh yeah, you also have to keep in mind that, as you just said, you can completely destroy someone's life. You have to keep in mind that those people are trying to do that to you first.
In a sense. Every hour of that time, I had to step back and say, okay, listen, am I being trolled, or is this guy for real, or is he? And also, is my behavior to like wreck this guy? Is it appropriate? Is it called for? And every single step of the way, this Brandon Blau's character proved to us that he was an asshole and that he was just there to be the complete biggest shithead that we've ever met. And this is a guy, by the way, suing for libel. A month ago, he was trying to organize a rally for free speech. Like a right-wing free speech rally.
Yeah,
and now he wants to sue us.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Did he? Wow. Oh, yeah, I did look at his profile. I don't think he blocked me, but I think he liked to tout himself as a college libertarian or something.
Yeah, well, he's whatever. One of his posts, which I found just like totally head-bangingly stupid, he goes, hey guys, you know, I have to admit when I'm wrong, you know, so I think that maybe voting for Trump might not have been a great idea. And I was just like, wow, you fucking idiot. You know, there's so much of it. It's just a treasure trove of idiocracy.
I'm still grooming the 16-year-old girl, but yeah. Voting for Trump may have been a bad
She's
idea.
troubled. She has problems. Her job on Facebook was shower attendant at Auschwitz.
Yeah, that's
like,
fucking troll shit. Come on.
Yeah, she's got problems.
That's edgy teen stuff.
Right, yeah. So, by the way, I actually, for a while, I put out a bounty on his novel. He talked about this novel that he'd been working on for months. And, like, he's like, it's a bit of a risque tale, but sex sells. And I'm like, okay, I know for a fact that he wrote a whole novel about an old man banging a fucking child. And I want to get my hands on it because it's going to be hilarious and it's going to be the worst writing we've ever seen.
See, I couldn't find a publisher for it, so I did the brave thing and went through CreateSpace and did it.
Right. Oh, man. Yeah, that poem, he was so into it. I've never heard of this happening. Like, I just got my MFA in poetry, and he said he was writing about this on his Facebook that he got censored in his poetry class. I was like, how the fuck does that even happen? And so
how could a professor not
he's not allowed to write poetry anymore? And so he was talking about his experience to a friend of his, and he was like, yeah, they just didn't get like the dark pathology or the subtle humor of my poem.
I did read that one too. What was it about him lusting after a 16-year-old girl who came out of a pool or something?
No, it was worse than that. Okay, so the poem itself was
we're not going to read it here.
Right, we're not going to read it here.
That.
It was a conceptual poem about an actual artist back in the 70s or 80s, real controversial stuff. Kind of like a radical feminist type woman who had been taking pictures of her naked daughter who was like, I don't know, 10 or something, like in sexualized poses.
I actually think I know which feminist this is.
Okay.
Actually. I forget their name, though.
Yeah, you know, and it's whatever, you know, but the character that he wrote for this poem was somebody who was creeping on young girls at public pools and then you know, going and appreciating this art and like
so he was like trying to like equate together,
like make you think like about like, wow, like these people hate it but these people think it's okay. What is it? It's like, no, you're a pedophile. That's what it is.
Well, first of all, the feminist in question, that's pretty fucking questionable right there, your 10-year-old daughter.
Sure, yeah.
First of all, there's that, and two, based on the way he is, it kind of sounds more like, well, it's okay for women to do this with young girls. Why can't I, a man, do it with young girls?
Yeah.
It's like, come on, dude.
Totally.
Nobody's buying that argument.
It's so unfortunate that he just probably graduated with a bachelor's in history from Oakland University, and he still thinks that white people are a superior race. Can you believe that? Like,
no.
How do you get through a history?
From a history course, yeah, that's what you get to. Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Well, you can definitely.
Education has really gone downhill.
Well, you can. Yeah. Well, you know what? You can debate that, but Brandon Blouse is not among them. Not just because of his poem, but I've seen his YouTube videos with him dancing. They're not good. They're hilarious and they're not good.
Oh man!
But one thing that actually really struck me about this thing, segue time, if you want to talk about this,
sure.
Is that technically this started out because Brandon attacked a good friend of yours. members.
Right, yeah.
I can actually relate to that because there's another individual that you and I have had a problem with, particularly because he attacked you. Would you like to talk about this?
Oh, man. Oh, that's a good question. If we should...
Well...
Could we talk about it without the name? Can we do that?
Yeah, let's call him Adam.
Let's call him Adam. Okay.
Yeah, as you would...
Because the thing is with Adam, I have a feeling that he actually is trying to get his life back on track. Like, I know that he has been a total psychopath and a total narcissist, and, you know, I can't figure it out because he just had his first kid with his wife, which surprised me.
Wait. Okay, hold on. Before we begin all this, let's just give a summary. Who is Adam?
Okay, he is a character who was involved in sort of self-publishing at first, and then he started a publishing company. Once again, we won't name that, I guess.
Oh, quickly, Zach, I've told you about this before.
I'm following.
And I don't want to. He's somebody who I feel like, you know, okay, he's not bothering me anymore. You know, so
we'll get to why that is.
Yeah, we will get to why that is. And so that's why I don't really want to, you know, he's not like a Brandon Blouse where he's just going to constantly, like, he's not going to give up. He's going to go away at some point when you kick him out. But my experience was...
well, first of all, how did you meet him?
Sure. Oh, at the Vine Collective, man, which he got kicked out of for just crazy shit, like... he was holding down this girl who was his girlfriend and punching himself in the face and saying, like, look at what you're doing to me.
And I guess he also, like, was drunk one time. One of the members of Vine Collective told me this, and I wasn't on good terms with this person at the time, so I kind of did fuck him. Which was a very bad idea because this person in question turned out to be absolutely right.
Yeah.
I guess he said that Adam was drunk one time, which is very often because... he's an alcoholic.
Right, yeah.
And I guess he, like, held down one of the cats and threatened to cut his head off.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds about right. And I actually it's kind of a funny story, so I do want to tell it.
Well, the thing with, quickly how I met Adam.
Sure.
I think it was just some, like, I think I really first got to know him through Facebook. Like, we were friends beforehand, but we never really knew each other that much. That's the thing, too, like, I hung out with Vine Collective when he lived there, and I've racked my mind over, like, parties and that, but I don't ever remember interacting with him at all, which is really surprising to me, especially because, you know, we're both writers and that.
Yeah.
So it's strange. I just don't remember interacting with him at all in person. It's all been on Facebook.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, I definitely got to know him in person because so he was struggling a number of years back, and he was looking for a place to stay, and so I told him, hey, you can crash at my place for like a week to get back on your feet. No worries, you know, I got a spare room. 2 months later, he hadn't paid any rent. He was being physically intimidating in my own home. He started stealing from me, stealing my weed, that kind of thing. And it just was such a fucking pain to be around. Like, he was just constantly... You know, he didn't have a computer, so he was always on mine, and it was just a miserable experience living with him. And it got to the point where I was like, listen, I've told you had to go by this time. We've pushed the deadline back like 5 or 6 times now. You have to go tonight. And he got really up in my face about it, like, no. And I was like, no, right now, we got to go. And so I leave, and I just... I'm driving my car. I get on the phone with like 5 or 6 friends. I'm like, we got to do an anarchist eviction on this guy. So I come over with a bunch of rad people, and he's trapped in his room like a rat, negotiating with us through the door. And he's like, you got to pay for my train ticket out of here, or my bus ticket, to go back to Muskegon, you know. And all my friends were like, John, you don't have to do this. But I was like, you know, anything to get him to leave. After, you know, all the stealing and just not paying me rent that he said he would. And I was like, fine, I'll pay you the $35 ticket. So he finally packs up, and we get in the car, and he's really crazy skittish and stuff. And he has the nerve to lean around to look in the back seat where I was and say, after I handed him $35, he goes, actually, the ticket is $36. I kid you not. Like, once again, you can't make this shit up. Some people are just assholes. You know, like...
Yeah.
So, I don't know. And then he kept trying to communicate back and forth with me. Like, he'd always try to, like, you know, say, I'm sorry, but not, like, really. And then, like, I wouldn't accept his friend request. And so he'd be like, actually, I think you're a little punk-ass bitch for what you did, and your writing sucks, and whatever shit that he was saying. I'm just like, whatever, man. I don't care about you. You know, like, just don't want to talk to you. You're wasting my space.
Well, I should say this, too, is that, my interaction with him was all online beforehand. He exhibited all the signs of, like, yeah, I shouldn't be friends with this person, but I still stuck on there. But then he wanted to publish my, what is now my second poetry ebook, Wotan, through his writer series.
Right, yeah.
And that quickly fell apart when, because he gave me, like, a very vague time of when he was going to publish it. And, I want to do some advertisements for the book, you know, get hype, you know, get ready to purchase Wotan.
Yeah.
And I thought the best way to do this was basically make some meme advertisements of the great memes of the day. So I did this one that had, like, the god Wotan, aka Odin, but it's like a classic picture of him. And I replaced his face with, like, the Doge face. Remember that fucking dog Doge?
Yep, yeah.
He's like,
I remember this whole...
Wow, such surprise, so scared, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I did that. And,
much poetry.
Yeah, much poetry, yeah. He got very angry at this.
Yeah.
And he sent me a message like, hey, don't ever make advertisements like that again. Got that? Cool. You don't have the right to do that because I'm the publisher.
Right, yeah.
Keep in mind, and two things with this, with me and Adam. One, there was no contract signed at all. It was...
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, it was all like, hey, you want to publish a book through me? Sure.
Right.
No contract, nothing signed at all.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that. So technically he couldn't tell me what to do for anything, as far as I'm concerned. And two, like I said, he's been... me and him were in contact, but it was always very vague of like, okay, I'm going to publish it at this time. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. But then I would bring up like, okay, so how's the progress going on the book? Nothing at all. Or what really pissed him off was that I asked him like, hey, how are we going to do royalties? Like, how are we going to set this up? If you want like a good comparison, I've talked about this before on a previous podcast. Or, Zach, maybe it's on one of your podcasts, but it's like the way Zach Elmblad here and I have worked together is the complete opposite. Like, him and I are on contact mainly through Gmail and Messenger. You know, we give updates like, okay, this is what I like to do. Okay, this is cool. This is what I suggest. You know, we work together because I'm actually a very open guy on how to do things. You know, there are some set things that I want, but other than that, I'm very open to suggestions.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, so basically everything, that's one reason why, Zach, I like working with you, is that I do think besides business partners, we are indeed homies.
Yeah, I mean, I would publicly admit that. Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, so...
I love that ICP song, by the way.
Homies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That is the best at the end of the night at 2 o'clock at Old Dog.
Yeah, but the relationship Zach and I have now is just the complete opposite of Andrew, who is very secretive, very begrudging, very aggressive. So then we got into a nice argument about that. And he was just like, you know what, pull the plug, fuck it.
Yeah.
And, well, since he pissed me off so much because I assumed he was going to rip me off, like he did you, right. I, of course, threatened to beat him up.
Oh, okay.
At which he, of course, did the same thing. Told me to come on down to Muskegon.
God damn it.
I know. It's bad.
The stuff we have to put up with, man.
But that's the thing with Adam, and I'll probably hold against him forever, is that not what he did to me, it's what he did to you.
Oh,
you know, basically assaulting you, and then that's the thing we didn't mention. He did publish one of your books. He never paid you royalties for it, as far as I know.
Yeah, well, there wasn't going to be any royalties.
Technically,
maybe I should have gotten a $20 bill at some point or something, but I mean, I'm not begrudging over that. I was mostly just him being in my living space was difficult for me.
Well, and then afterwards, at least how I viewed it, the way you told me, he was pretty much harassing you via that way, saying like, hey, I'm going to republish this book of ours. How you think it should go?
That was interesting. So I basically told him sure, whatever. And then I made that Facebook post about where like I tagged you in it, and I was like, what do I do? I just don't. I want to cut ties, and I should have just told him straight up, don't publish it. That was my bad, and I kind of felt bad about that. That I should have said. I should have been clear with him, because then we got a hold of like his people.
Well, here's my side of the story. Like,
sure.
Well, I said this before, but I do consider you a very good friend and overall a very good person.
Well, thank you.
Hell, I may be in love with you in some way.
Aww.
No, but all the love here at the Garret Schuelke podcast. No, but I consider you a very good friend, and I do care about you, and it just angered me the way that he treated you.
Right.
From physical assault to this, which I consider him further harassing you, because he basically felt like he could hold this over your head.
Yeah, well, he let me know what he was doing, and I just didn't want to. At the end of the day, I just wanted to cut ties. I'm not a vindictive person. You know what I mean?
So this was just like my interpretation, I guess, of events. So basically, and that's the thing too. How stupid this guy is. I consider it's that he sent me invite on LinkedIn to friend him on there. I'm like, LOL, fuck no.
He would have a LinkedIn account, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I know. So he does indeed have info of where he works, which is some bookshop outside where he lives. And when I checked out the page, they're holding like an all-day author event, which includes him, of course. So that, of course, pissed him off, because I see him abusing a friend of mine, probably ripping off other authors, including myself. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to contact this place and tell them, include screenshots, and say, you probably should not associate with Adam anymore. He's an abusive individual. And more so with the event you're having this weekend, he rips off writers in the indie writing community. Mm-hmm. I just don't think that's the thing. I didn't threaten this place or was mean or anything. I just said straight up, I don't think it's a good idea for you to associate with this individual.
Right, yeah. Your reputation will follow you around.
It turns out that besides... Oh, thank you, Zach.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Yeah, so turns out besides, I guess he's like the book orderer... Not the book orderer there. He also runs their social media, so he got my message that I intended for the owners. Yeah, this is what he wrote back to me. Yeah, I got the screenshot here.
Yeah, I remember this one.
Actually, would you like to read it, John?
Yeah.
Here we go. This is Adam's reply to me sending his managers at the bookstore a message.
Yeah, it seems all right. So Adam's saying, sent this to your Facebook, but want to make sure you get it. Why are you harassing me? Life goes on. I've never made any money off my publishing company. You want to see the numbers? I can send it. You want me to stop publishing John's work? Done. I've already deleted it. What the heck do you want? Wish you the best. But that was a long time ago. That is my store. Do not harass me anymore. John's book is no longer a part of the publishing company. If somebody would have just asked, I would have done it. But contacting my place of employment that I make a living on sort of crosses the line. I'm cool with you. Sorry for whatever happened half a decade ago, but you're free to tell John I don't want his book anymore. I just tried to help poets and writers. I'm open to discussion. Don't contact my job. My wife is having my first son tonight. I feel bad that you feel bad, but please take the poetry and lay it to rest, to peace. So, yeah.
And then he blocked me before I could reply.
Yeah, and that's fine. I'm totally fine with just us going our separate ways. You know,
but for real, he's married and he's having a kid now.
that really does surprise me.
I don't believe
that blew my mind.
I don't believe it at all.
Yeah, I guess
because that's the thing with like the previous messages he sent me. It's babbling, drunken bullshit.
It's just so confusing to me.
So I don't believe at all that Adam is married or even much less has a kid. No way. It's bullshit.
Yeah. Well, at least he's not a problem for me anymore. And
I know. So that's a follow-up. Has he fucked with you since?
No.
Okay, good. Very good.
No, he just took the book down and,
Yeah, I'm actually still surprised he did that. I really am.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that his tone these days has been a lot better. Like, that message is so much better and than the stuff he used to write to people, about like, you suck and you're a scumbag and you don't know anything about what anarchy means and whatever bullshit he popped into his drunken head.
Well, you want me to... Like I say, he blocked me on Facebook.
Yeah.
I did send him one more response on Gmail. Would you like me to read this one?
Sure, yeah.
I'll read this one.
Okay.
Hey, scumbag.
Okay.
What an opening.
Yes.
Strong.
He didn't reply to this one either, by the way.
Oh, man.
Hey, scumbag. What do I want, you ask? Well, before I get serious, I'll play your game. Please, send me your numbers /stats/sales figures for your publishing company. I legitimately want to see them. I doubt they'll be accurate. I don't even think you keep records to begin with, but that's besides the point. You will most likely lie in order to portray yourself as never making any money or to make John look bad, which would be hilarious since you were intending to put out a second edition of his work, which indicates that it has some sort of popularity. Now to what I really want. I want you to leave John alone. That means no messaging on social media, no emails, no phone calls, nothing. If by chance you two are within the same physical proximity of each other, you will walk the other way and not make contact. I'll give you kudos for finally taking down his book, which you obviously did more out of fear than it being the right thing to do, but the real problem here is your continual harassment of him. If you continue to do so, and believe me, John will let me know if you're still fucking with him, then I will directly contact your managers, whether by email, phone, or perhaps I'll even take a trip over to the store myself and talk to them face to face, and present to them John's testimony and screenshots, my screenshots of our past interactions, as well as testimony from other Kalamazoo residents of your past abusive behavior and scamming of the wider indie lit community. Even if for whatever reason you no longer work at this place, I'll promptly report your behavior to your present employer, and they'll decide what to do with you. Though I'm guessing you'll get canned, since one employer will want garbage like you representing them. Don't believe me? Then keep harassing John, cocksucker. Try me.
Wow. I did not realize that it was to that extent.
Call to action.
No, yeah, man. Wow. I'm good friends.
Almost done. Almost done. One more thing. I'm sure you deleted the Facebook message I sent your managers. You think they would approve of you doing so? I don't think they would, but that's just my educated guess. Since you'll probably respond like last time we interacted via email with 3-4 babbling, nonsensical messages, this will be, for now, the last time I intend to seriously talk to you. Please, fuck off. Cheers, Garret.
Nice. Wow.
There you go.
Wow. Yeah, it's nice to have that one under the belt. Because it did bother me that he still had his name on, my work, my beautiful poems, and I just didn't want to be associated.
Well, that's for now, I guess. Yeah. The Adam saga has been concluded.
By the way, somebody's got to make sure that Brandon Blouse gets a copy of this and that finds a way. That's
gonna be up to you. I have no interest of talking to him.
Okay, I'll find a way.
All episodes of this podcast and past podcasts are downloadable off SoundCloud or Internet Archive whenever I stop being lazy and upload to that.
Cool. Yeah, the thing is that he did block me. Well, unblock me, and then I blocked him or whatever. But I was careful about that because once he blocks you, it's him withdrawing consent to be contacted.
Yeah.
And that's the point where you can't really, you got to be careful when you're sneaking around because you do not want to cross the line and become the same kind of harasser that this person is.
Yeah.
But I will say on this radio show, dude, I have a $200 bounty on your stupid pedophile novel. I cannot wait. If you want to try to like sue me again for libel or defamation of character, you are the biggest idiot I've ever met in my entire life. And he's too stupid to like. He's going to listen to this, and he's probably going to go try to find another lawyer to try to sue me for libel again.
Let him, because that's
I would love it if he did that.
That's how you can get a copy of that manuscript, because you can file for disclosure.
Yeah, because maybe there's proof.
Or even more funnier, it turns out it doesn't exist because he's never actually done anything with it.
Yeah, it blows my mind. I just, it's just fun, I guess. It's a little bit scary and a little bit dangerous sometimes. But I think it's kind of harmless.
Life is dangerous, my friend. Gotta live on the edge.
Right. There you go. Us writers, man.
I think that's a good way to end this.
Yeah, I think so. Dude.
Yeah. All right. So, anything you would like to promote? Like any specific things you're doing? Any websites that you're on? Any of your work?
Well, let's see. You know what? I am going. Keep me in mind for I'm actually going to try to take all my poetry that I've written over the past 10 years, and I think I'm going to try to put it into a big book, like a big, like
if I may suggest a publisher.
Sure.
Point over.
Oh.
Yeah.
People can't see it.
Let's talk, man.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Garret Schuelke podcast, making dreams come true.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
yeah.
Okay, and I'll link. Canonsgate?
Canonsgate.
The publisher for the Scallywags and Nobody's Island.
Oh, no, that was Combustion Books.
Oh, my bad.
Publishers of dangerous fiction,
yep.
yes.
I'll link that to John's book. Check that out. And, you can just send me some links later or wherever you would like me to promote it. I will gladly put that in there.
Cool.
All right, I believe that concludes the 4th episode of the Garret Schuelke podcast. Thanks for everyone for listening. Thank you, John, for appearing on here. This was awesome.
Yeah, that's fun.
Thanks again, Zach, for hosting it.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you guys in here.
Yep. And that's it, folks. Have a good day / night, and here's the outro song.
I think that this all started when I read the newspaper and I saw that secret world between all the fine print. And I think that this all started when someone pressed my panic button, and for the first time in my life I fell in love with fire. Well, I never thought my hair would grow as long as it is today, and I knew I'd never change my mind. So I've always been this way, and I never thought the siren would put this fear in me. But now I'm burning all your buildings and then watching secretly from a distance, so far away. I'll tell you what, one of my problems is that I blame myself for all of my problems. And I'll tell you what, one of my problems is that I blame myself for all of my problems. And I never thought my hair would grow as long as it is today, but I knew I'd never change my mind. So I've always been this way, and I never thought the siren would put this fear in me. But now I'm burning all your buildings and then watching secretly from a distance, so far away, so far away. And I'll tell you what, one of my problems is that I blame myself for all of my problems. And I'll tell you what, one of my problems is that I blame myself for all of my problems. Definitely going to jail for that one. Probably.